Chapter 4798. Lu Yan closed her eyes and recalled carefully. How should I put it? He's not as hot-tempered as the rumors say. He doesn't seem to be in a good mood. But he really likes my sister. How did you find out so much in such a short time? Xiao Fei was puzzled. Then you see, who am I? I observe the details. Okay, ancestor, you're the best. Drive, I want to sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep together. Lu Yan always lied to Xiao Fei that he could eat meat. But all these years had passed. At most, Xiao Fei could drink a few mouthfuls of soup. Lu Yan was the type to enjoy life. With a fake passport, she booked a presidential suite in a 5-star hotel with Xiao Fei. There were many small rooms inside, but Xiao Fei squeezed in with her. Lu Yan pushed him to take a shower with a smile. However, when Xiao Fei came out of the shower, he looked at the bed and saw that Lu Yan was already asleep. He was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Lu Yan was also tired. As soon as she got off the plane, she went out to cause trouble. She pretended to be a waiter and drank alcohol. She was really exhausted. As long as Xiao Fei was by her side, she could sleep well. Xiao Fei took off his bathrobe, revealing his smooth abs. He lay beside Lu Yan and quietly looked at her for a while. Then he hugged her and fell asleep at the Hades mountain. Alai and Jinju ran all the way, not daring to rest. They knew the importance of the things in their hands. In the middle of the night, they broke through the array and went up the mountain. They thought that young Master Bai was already asleep. Unexpectedly, he was wearing a white cloak and waiting by the window. Who is it? Bai Shang's bodyguards were vigilant. Tell your master that our boss is here to deliver wine. Why would he deliver wine in the middle of the night? You even broke the needle. You have evil intentions. Cut the crap. Tell Bai Shang to come out. We're here to deliver the goods. We don't want to start a massacre. Alai was too lazy to talk nonsense with these useless people. Just as the group was about to attack, Bai Shang walked out. Young master. Bai Shang waved his hand and signaled for them to leave. Young Master Bai, we're Mr. Lu's subordinates. Alai introduced himself. Bai Chang looked at them with disappointment in his eyes. Lu Yan didn't come. He thought that she would deliver the medicine herself. Alai carefully took out the sealed it. This is my boss's idea. Please take it on time, young Master Bai. Bai Chang walked over and took the item with trembling hands. He knew what it was, more than anyone else. When he was very young, his father had offered a large sum of money to buy it. Who knew that the Qiao family would not trade it for money? Over the years, his father had tried many methods but to no avail. The only thing in the world that could cure his red fairy's poison was the tiger bone wine. Since young Master Bai has already received it, we will take our leave. Alai said as he turned around. Bai Chang made a sign, but Alai and Jinju didn't understand sign language. Fortunately, Cripple translated for him. Our young master said, "Thank you very much. It's my duty. Goodbye." Alai and Jinju then quickly disappeared into the night. Bai Chang lowered his head and looked at the small bottle. Young master, we don't even know if this thing is real or fake. Why don't we try it first? Cripple was still worried. After all, Lu Yan didn't seem reliable. However, Bai Chang replied in sign language, "If she wanted to kill me, I would have died long ago." After speaking, Bai Chang directly opened the lid and drank the liquid in the small container in one gulp. The tiger bone wine burned through his throat, as if it was going to burn his entire body. For a full day and night, Bai Chang had a fever for a full day and night. The next night, when Cripple was about to go down the mountain to find a doctor, Bai Chang suddenly spoke. He only said 2 words, Lu Yan. Chapter 4799. Rather than saying that Lu Yan was in a good mood and liked this place, it was more like she liked her sister. Although they hadn't acknowledged each other, she still didn't want to leave. When Alai and Jinju returned, Lu Yan received a text message. She knew it was Bai Chang who added 1 billion yuan to her account. She wondered what his voice sounded like after he learned how to speak. While eating breakfast, Lu Yan was still in a daze. Boss. Yeah. Lu Yan snapped back to reality. Are we still going to Hong Kong? The Liuhe gang is about to hold an election. Shouldn't you use your informant there? Alai reminded her. Don't worry. It's just a small gang. Even if I become the boss, I can't do anything. Lu Yan sipped her oatmeal milk. Boss, we've been here for almost 3 days. We should go somewhere else. Otherwise, your whereabouts will be exposed soon. Jinju reminded her. Yeah, we'll leave tonight. Xiao Fei didn't say anything. He didn't want to interfere with Lu Yan's business. Oh Fei, I'll show you a photo. Lu Yan thought of something, and on a whim, opened the virtual video on her watch before she finished her breakfast. Seeing that their boss wanted to talk about family matters, the two subordinates left. Xiao Fei glanced at it, and saw it was another photo of Mian's sister. In the past few years, Lu Yan would show Xiao Fei every time she got a new photo. So just like Lu Yan, Xiao Fei had seen all of Huomin's photos. But he had never seen this one before. It was new. Did you take it secretly? He asked Lu Yan. Lu Yan shook her head. Then, did you get it from the surveillance cameras? Xiao Fei asked again. Lu Yan shook her head with a smile. You didn't ask my brother-in-law for it, did you? No. Let me tell you. I hacked into Suyu's phone system and stole it. Haha, Xiao Fei. Really? Xiao Fei was exasperated. When I saw this photo that night, I thought my sister was prettier. So, I hacked into Suyu's phone system and copied this screensaver. This is Suyu's screensaver? Xiao Fei was surprised. Lu Yan nodded. Then he's really infatuated with Sister Mian. At this time, Suyu already knew that Huomin was a married woman. So no matter how deep his love was, he buried it in his heart. For someone like Suyu to use this photo as a screensaver, he must be very happy. Xiao Fei suddenly remembered that 2 years ago, at Lu Yan's 18th coming-of-age ceremony, she was hunted down. Therefore, Lu Yan stayed low-key in her base, which was the island that couldn't be found on the map. At that time, only he and Professor Lu were present. Seeing Lu Yan put on the white princess gown, Xiao Fei felt like no woman in the world was as beautiful as Lu Yan. Then, he disobeyed Lu Yan's order and took photos of her. Coincidentally, it was the picture of her smiling sweetly later. This photo became the only proof he had whenever he missed Lu Yan. Therefore, Xiao Fei could understand Suyu's love. However, Xiao Fei was much luckier than Suyu. Xiao Fei and Lu Yan loved each other. On the other hand, Suyu and Huomin loved each other. After breakfast, Lu Yan secretly went to South Side to see her sister. Even though she was far away, she was still very happy. In the afternoon, Lu Yan had a video conference in her room to organize her subordinates' whereabouts and missions. At 10 p.m. that night, Lu Yan and Xiao Fei went downstairs to get on the plane and leave. As soon as they got downstairs, they saw a man in a white suit. He was standing in the lobby. He had taken off his ancient costume and put on a modern black suit, which made his white suit look more mysterious. Hey little mute. What a coincidence. Lu Yan walked over to greet him with a smile. Chapter 4800. She didn't notice that Xiao Fei's face was extremely cold. Fortunately, although Xiao Fei was jealous, he still knew his priorities. I'll wait for you in the car. Don't be late. After saying this, Xiao Fei and Alai left first. Lu Yan was still wearing the exquisite black windbreaker and black boots. Her black hair fell to her waist, completely different from the day when Bai Chong saw her in the rain. This was the smart and capable Lu Yan. Bai Chong only had the cripple and 3 or 4 bodyguards behind him. He walked up to Lu Yan and smiled gently. Little Lu, thank you for the wine. His voice was surprisingly pleasant. It was gentle but not feminine at all. It was clean and clear without any hoarseness. Miss Lu, I'm sorry for that day. Thank you for your kindness to our young master. The cripple looked apologetic and bowed deeply to Lu Yan with the bodyguards behind him. It's okay, stupid cripple. I've always been magnanimous. Lu Yan smiled. I knew you were leaving today, so I came to see you off, Bai Chong said. Haha, you must be tired. The Hades mountain is very far from here. You came out in the middle of the night. It's not hard. Compared to what you did for me, this is nothing. Bai Chong looked at Lu Yan gently, as if he was looking at his sweetheart. Lu Yan felt a little embarrassed when she heard this. Don't say that. I was paid to do this. I didn't give it to you for free. I took 2 billion yuan from you. But you and I both know that glass of wine can't be bought with 10 billion yuan, Bai Chong said. It's okay. Did you see the guy behind me? Lu Yan pointed in the direction Xiao Fei left. Bai Chang didn't say anything. That's my man. The wine is from his family. I'm just using something from my family. It's good that you can talk. Don't be so bored in the future. Go out more and get some sunshine. Okay. Even though Bai Chang had a lot to say, he couldn't say anything. Let's go. If we're late, we'll be scolded. Lu Yan was still smiling. Bai Chang didn't say anything. He turned around and took a white foam box from the cripple. Just some local specialties. Please accept them as a token of my respect. How can I accept it? Lu Yan looked at the box but didn't take it. Although she liked money, she wasn't greedy for it. From her point of view, Bai Chang should have given her 2 billion even though he had drunk the wine. It could be said that the two of them had feelings for each other. There was no need to talk about favors. They weren't even friends. Take it. I feel better, Bai Chang said softly. Then, like a child, he held the box with both hands and presented it to Lu Yan. Inside the black Mercedes outside the window, Jin Ju sat in the driver's seat, while Alai sat in the passenger seat. Xiao Fei sat at the back, his face cold. He kept looking at his watch, and with every passing minute, his face turned uglier. What's going on? What did that brat give boss? Who knows? However, boss healed his throat, so it's only right for him to give his entire fortune to boss. Alai said. Sure enough, Lu Yan came back with a suitcase. After getting into the car, Xiao Fei immediately ordered, drive. Pervert Xiao, this is a local product that someone gave me. Here, it's for you. After getting into the car, Lu Yan immediately coaxed Xiao Fei. He came all the way here to give it to you personally. Xiao Fei said sourly. You're so jealous. Hey, don't be jealous. Let's leave, okay? Lu Yan coaxed. Xiao Fei still ignored her. If you're still angry, I'll get out of the car. I'm going to eat steak with Bai Chang. Lu Yan pretended to get out of the car. Xiao Fei immediately panicked. How dare you? Chapter 4801. Then are you still angry? Seeing Lu Yan point at his lips with her finger, Xiao Fei blushed slightly. I'm not angry. Really? Lu Yan didn't believe him. Really? Then give yourself a punch. Xiao Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why don't I kiss you instead? In your dreams. As soon as Lu Yan said that, Xiao Fei kissed her on the cheek. He did it on purpose, and even got some saliva on her face. Fuck. You disgusting guy. Your face is covered in saliva. Lu Yan put down the box in her hand and punched him. The other two pretended not to know anything. Alai even laughed. How dare you laugh? Jump over here and help me punch him. Lu Yan roared. Boss, I didn't see anything. What happened just now? Alai asked with a smile. Lu Yan. They fooled around all the way and left the car behind. Someone came to take it away. Lu Yan and the others got on the private plane. Boss, where are we going now? Home. Lu Yan's home referred to her old home, the uninhabited island. We're going back so soon. Alai obviously hadn't had enough fun. Lu Yan crossed her legs and glared at him. If you don't want to go back, you can go to North Korea and get some goods for me. Ahem. Jin Ju is more suitable for this kind of thing. He's from North Korea. Hearing that he was going to North Korea, Alai immediately gave up. I'm not going either. Although Jin Ju was from North Korea, he didn't want to go back to that magical country. Only Lu Yan knew what had happened, and Jin Ju didn't mention his past again. Xiao Fei didn't care where he went, but he liked Lu Yan's island. He felt like it was a paradise and peaceful. 3 hours after the plane took off, Lu Yan remembered the specialties Bai Chang gave her. She picked up the foam box and tore open the tape with her bare hands. She found that the top layer was actually wild vegetables. Lu Yan didn't know the name of these wild vegetables. But soon, she found a clue and put the wild vegetables aside. Only then did he realize that the wild vegetables were just a cover. In fact, it was for the thing below. Layer by layer, the lush green mountain vegetables were pushed aside. What was wrapped in the middle was actually a painting. Wow, wow, wow. Boss, you're rich again. This must be a priceless antique. Hurry and see which dynasty it's from. Alai said excitedly. Jin Ju also started to gossip. It's said that the Bai family has always had a lot of treasures. They are indeed a family of smugglers. Their first move is an antique. Lu Yin didn't speak, but she didn't refute her subordinate's words. After all, she had seen the priceless blue and white porcelain in Bai Chang's room. Therefore, she also thought that it was an antique painting. Perhaps it was a master-level flower like Su Dongpa or Qi Baishe. But when she unrolled the scroll, Lu Yin was dumbfounded. It was a painting of a beauty. The beauty in the painting was wearing a cheongsam, revealing a pair of long legs. It was very sexy. He was even holding an umbrella. The painting was extremely detailed. Even the specks of rain were drawn clearly. This is me? Lu Yin asked. Alai and Jinju also looked at the person in the painting, then looked at boss. Yes, boss. It's you. This kid actually drew me. This painting is good. Lu Yin stood up and smiled. Xiao Fei's face turned cold again. What a strong love rival. It was fine if he couldn't speak before. But now that he could, even his flirting skills had improved. Fei, hurry up and comment. Is his painting better or am I better? Lu Yin asked excitedly after circling the painting 3 times. The painting and the person are both extremely ugly, Xiao Fei said word by word. Then the air instantly froze. Chapter 4802. Lu Yin instantly grabbed Xiao Fei's neck with both hands. Tell me, how do you want to die? I want to die from pleasure. Xiao Fei actually said these 4 words very seriously. Lu Yin almost laughed out loud. Jinju and Alai's faces turned red, but they didn't dare to laugh out loud, afraid that their boss would skin them alive. In the end, Lu Yin laughed. Are you serious? Very serious. Humph. Just say you're jealous. You're jealous when someone drew me a beauty portrait. You're the king of jealousy. Yeah. You don't like to be jealous. Xiao Fei looked at Lu Yin. Yeah. I'm always generous. How can I be jealous? Lu Yin raised her chin. Then who spent 80 million yuan at Seductive Fox last night? To be jealous of a fat woman. Lu Yin. Damn it. You're touching my sore spot. Do you believe that I'll kick you off the plane right now? Then you'll be a widow. Why would I be a widow? I'm not married to you yet. Young man, don't be so arrogant. Lu Yin reached out and pinched Xiao Fei's face. Only Lu Yin dared to do such a naughty and difficult action. If it were someone else, they would have been dead by now. So in the eyes of Lu Yan's subordinates, even if their boss bickered with young Master Qiao, it was still a show of love. What are you two still doing here? Have you had enough dog food? Lu Yin turned around and looked at Alai and Jinju. It's okay. I'm quite full. Alai nodded. Do you like it? Lu Yin asked with a chuckle. It's okay. I've been with you for years and got used to it. Alai thought that their boss's dog food wasn't that good, right? Lu Yin had only been in Sea City for 3 days. During these 3 days, she only went to 2 places, Southside Recuperation Center and Seductive Fox. Rick had a background in the mafia, so he wouldn't be confused if someone suddenly spent 80 million yuan on him overnight. In the Seductive Fox nightclub, Rick leaned back in his chair and watched the surveillance video. Lu Yin changed her clothes in a blind spot and couldn't see it, but Rick knew what to do with his subordinates. For now, Rick ordered. Yes, boss. Enlarge this image for me. As the image zoomed in, a girl wearing a waitress uniform appeared. Who is this person? Is she the new waitress? His subordinate was also confused. Are you sure? Rick raised his head coldly. I'm not sure. I'll get someone from the HR department to take a look. 5 minutes later, the HR department had already confirmed that this person had never been employed before, which meant that this woman had appeared out of nowhere. His appearance was very ordinary. She was also the one who had provoked the fat woman in the bar. At that time, she had already taken off her waitress uniform. Rick wasn't familiar with this face, so he couldn't find it even after checking the information. But the silver-haired man beside this woman. Rick narrowed his eyes as if he had thought of something. Xiao Fei was here? So the woman beside him could only be Lu Yin. Thinking of this, Rick's heart gradually turned cold. Who was Lu Yin? Wherever he went, he would kill. She was the famous king of mercenaries. Was she here to kill someone? Aside from gambling, she also watched the surveillance video and went to the private room on the top floor. Did she see Suyu? Did she want to kill Suyu? At this thought, Rick was shocked again. Chapter 4803. Luyan was extremely beautiful. She must be in disguise, unlike what she looked like in the surveillance video. But the only person Xiao Fei could be so inseparable from was Luyan. Rick thought about it carefully, and didn't receive any news that Suyu was in danger. If Luyan wanted to kill him, Suyu would have died last night. He couldn't figure out Luyan's motive. But hearing that she had left, Rick was completely relieved. Guards. Yes, boss. Return the 83 million that came in last night. The same way as it came. Boss. This. His subordinates didn't seem to understand their boss's move. They thought it would be stupid not to make money. Do as I say. Rick didn't explain further, and carried out his orders. Yes, boss. On the private plane, Luyan leaned against Xiao Fei's chest and played games. It was one of Xiao Fei's favorite games. The game was a bit boring and monotonous. But the good thing about it was that you could never reach the end of the level. So whenever Xiao Fei was bored, he would take it out to play a few levels. It was a good way to kill time. Seeing him enjoying the game, Luyan joined in. She snatched the game from Xiao Fei's hands and leaned into his chest as if he was her sofa. Xiao Fei enjoyed it. If there was someone in the world who dared to have intimate contact with Luyan, then it must be him. Ding. A message appeared on Luyan's watch. Text message, Xiao Fei reminded her. Look at it for me. Luyan continued playing the game without a care. Xiao Fei unlocked the password, opened the message and said, "The 83 million yuan you spent last night has been refunded." But Luyan didn't seem surprised at all. She just smiled. Rick. He's a good person. It's good that he didn't dare to take it. Have you ever dealt with the Chris family? Xiao Fei wasn't familiar with Rick's family. It was the biggest Chinese mafia family in the U.S. Rick's brother was in charge of many mafia businesses. We don't have much contact with each other. The Chris family is very low-key, and Rick is even more low-key. However, he's still one of us. He's brother-in-law's brother. Luyan knew the relationship between Rick and Qin Shu. That was why she didn't go to other bars when she wanted to spend a lot of money on drinks. However, he would rather give the money to Rick's bar. After all, the money did not flow out. She didn't expect Rick to be so obedient. As soon as he found out it was Luyan's money, he went back the way he came. This comforted Luyan. If she had any contact with the Chris family in the future, she would definitely return the favor. Xiao Fei wasn't interested in Luyan's business. He was never interested in her business. Instead, he stared at the painting of a beauty in the corner. Little Yen. There's no toilet paper in the toilet. So, Luyan put down her cell phone and looked up at him. Lend me your portrait of beauty, he said in a formal tone. Fuck you. Luyan really wanted to beat him to death. She didn't even think about using her portrait of beauty to wipe his ass. Xiao Fei indeed didn't like the painting. After all, it was such a blatant confession to Luyan. It made him feel uncomfortable. The plane slowly landed on Luyan's private island. As soon as Luyan's plane landed, her subordinates immediately came to greet her. Dozens of people stood in 2 rows. Luyan jumped off the plane and jumped over the stairs that were 3 or 4 meters high. She took off her windbreaker and threw it on the thin and white sand beach. Ah, it feels good to be home. Welcome home, boss. Good boy. Your lady boss is back too. Luyan pointed at Xiao Fei behind her mischievously. Everyone. Chapter 4804. Xiao Fei was used to Luyan's teasing. He didn't speak and followed Luyan silently. They walked into Luyan's residential area. It was a beautiful mansion. The windows were all transparent glass, and it faced the sea and flowers bloomed in spring. Because of the latitude of the island, there was no winter. It was always 30 degrees all year round. Therefore, the two of them quickly changed into cool clothes. Luyan was wearing a bohemian dress with floral patterns and a straw hat. She looked very tall and classy. Xiao Fei was simpler. He wore blue shorts and a white short-sleeved shirt. From afar, he looked like a sunny young man. Except for Luyan, no one else had ever seen him smile. After showering and changing clothes, a maid handed Xiao Fei an iced coconut. Xiao Fei had just inserted the straw when Luyan ran over and sucked in a big mouthful. Is there anyone more shameless than you in the world? Xiao Fei asked. I don't think so. So, you should feel lucky that you have the world's limited edition version of me. Narcissistic, Lu Yan turned around and walked out of the room. I'm going to a meeting. Are you coming? No. I'm going out to sea to fish. Okay. I want to drink fish soup. Good luck, madam. Lu Yan made a cheering gesture. Xiao Fei was speechless. They had a tacit understanding. After returning to the island, they went their separate ways. Lu Yan went to assign tasks and deal with the work at hand. Xiao Fei went out to sea to fish with his subordinates. They went out until the sun set. Xiao Fei returned with all kinds of seafood on his boat. Wow! Young Master Qiao, you're awesome. Are we having a seafood feast tonight? Alai was a bit excited. Although the island was boring, these homeless people had long regarded it as their home. So they had a strong sense of belonging. They thought that there was no competition here. No need to kill or worry about being killed. Although their boss had a bad temper, she never mistreated them. She would have seafood feasts from time to time, such as seaside barbecue. Some of Lu Yan's subordinates already had families and lived here in seclusion with their families. There was a rule in Lu Yan's mercenary group. Once they got married and had families, they would leave the mercenary group. Once they got married, they would leave the mercenary group and become logistics personnel. No more missions, no more killing, no more dangerous things. However, because they had made many enemies when they were young, they did not dare to go out. Therefore, they could only settle down here and live in seclusion. Lu Yan only assigned some odd jobs to those who were married. Here they built houses, watered flowers, fished, transported goods, planted fruits, and so on. Although Lu Yan gave each of them a pension of $10,000 a month, they didn't need the money at all. Life was very comfortable. Some of them even had children. The island was full of joy and harmony. This group of people was not at all like the rumors outside, that they were homicidal maniacs. Like a tourist, Lu Yan took photos of them with her SLR camera. Boss, the crabs are ready. And this grilled prawns. Young Master Qiao is amazing today. This prawn is a rare species, but the meat is very good. Boss, eat more. Alai came over with a tray and placed the grilled prawns and steamed crabs before Lu Yan and Xiao Fei. Don't be so busy. Go and eat. Okay, let me know if you need anything. Alai jogged away and drank beer with his brothers. Looking at the happy scene on the island, Lu Yan sighed. Fei, if something happens to me one day, I'll leave them to you. You have to continue taking care of them for me. Xiao Fei's heart tightened when he heard this. Chapter 4805. To her surprise, Xiao Fei shook his head firmly. That's impossible. Don't count on me. Lu Yan glanced at the man leaning against her back. What? You're gone? If I die, you won't care about my people? Psycho Qiao, how can you be so heartless? Do you think I'll marry you when you're like this? It's a risk. Ha. Then Lu Yan grabbed Xiao Fei's ears with both hands. Xiao Fei looked into Lu Yan's eyes quietly, not joking at all. If you die, I won't live alone either. So, you asked me to take care of them. I can't fulfill your wish. Lu Yan's body shook when she heard his words. Fei! She would be lying if she said she wasn't touched. But Lu Yan was such a person. Even if she was touched, she wouldn't cry. After all these years, her heart had become as hard as a rock. She wouldn't be as emotional as Huamin. I'm not joking. I'm serious. So, Yan, you must live well. Because as long as you live, I'll live as long as you live. Oh, so mushy. I'll stop joking with you. You're so emotional. Lu Yan blushed. She let go of Xiao Fei and jumped down from his arms. The fearless Lu Yan was afraid of Xiao Fei's words of love. Jumping down from his arms, Lu Yan ran toward her buddies not far away. When the group of males with excessive hormones saw their boss coming over, they became even more excited and raised their cups to drink to their heart's content. Loud voices came from not far away. The men asked in unison, "Who's the most beautiful woman in the world?" Then Alai stood on a stool and raised a bottle of cold beer, shouting, "I'm the most beautiful woman in the world." Lu Yan laughed so hard that she almost spat out the beer in her mouth. Then she yelled, "I don't know if I'm the most beautiful woman in the world, but I'm sure you guys are the best bootlickers in the world." At this moment, there were no more fights on the island, no more cheating, no more traps, and no more bombs that could explode at any moment. It was Lu Yen who had built a pure land here, a peaceful kingdom. He wanted to give this group of people, who had no one to rely on, an eternal home. Xiao Fei put his arms behind his head as a pillow. Then he lay on the bench and looked up at the sky. After sunset, the beach became even more gorgeous. The sun had already disappeared behind the clouds. It even brought with it a touch of golden red at the edge of the dark clouds. Seagulls flew past in 2s and 3s, listening to the sound of the rising and falling tides. There were no more distracting thoughts in his heart. Xiao Fei used to think that Lu Yen was his woman, his love, and his life partner. Even now, they still felt that Lu Yen was their god and their faith. He was someone who could bring them peace and tranquility. That was why his woman was so dazzling. No matter what happened in the future, whether or not Lu Yen was still the most wanted criminal of Interpol and the #1 target of terrorists, Lu Yen was still the most wanted criminal of Interpol. He would protect her for the rest of her life, until they left this world. Ali was drunk. He came over with 2 bottles of wine and handed one to Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei stood up. Ali was a little muffled. "Young Master Xiao, come, let's have a toast. Today was really fun." Xiao Fei took it obediently. Speaking of which, Xiao Fei wasn't very familiar with Lu Yan's subordinates, because he had always been a man of few words. Even if he stood here as Lu Yan's fiancé, he still didn't show off or stand out. "Young Master Xiao, I'm a servant. There are some things that I know I shouldn't ask, but today, with the help of alcohol, I want to ask you something on behalf of our boss." "Go ahead." Chapter 4806. Ali fell onto the bench in a daze, spilling a lot of wine from the bottle. "When are you going to marry my boss and give her a title?" Hearing this, Xiao Fei chuckled. "Young Master Xiao, I'm not joking. I'm serious. Look, you've been with my boss all these years. You eat and live together every day. Everyone knows you two are a couple. But your family hasn't said anything or given you a betrothal gift. If you live with my boss every day, your reputation will be tarnished. Why don't you get married soon? We can attend your wedding." Then Ali burped. When he was sober, he would never dare to ask Xiao Fei these questions. It wasn't because he was afraid of how powerful the Qiao family was, but because he knew Xiao Fei was very powerful. He had saved Lu Yen from danger several times. With his abilities, they all admired him. Ali was scolded the most by Lu Yen, but he also went on missions with her the most. They were very close. They didn't dare to have ordinary romantic feelings for Lu Yen. After all, in their hearts, Lu Yen was already a god who could do anything. So her sacred status was unshakable. However, no matter how powerful Lu Yen was, she was still a woman. She had to have her own home sooner or later. Lu Yen gave them a pure land and a home. Naturally, they hoped Lu Yen could have her own home, get married and have children. They even hoped she could be a gentle mother and live an ordinary life. So under the influence of alcohol, Ali came to question Xiao Fei. He thought Xiao Fei would be cold, but to his surprise, Xiao Fei smiled. "Hey, young Master Xiao, I'm serious. I know I'm just a servant and don't have the right to interfere in the matters between masters. But my boss is really good. You can't miss this opportunity. So young Master Xiao, you must seize the opportunity. It's not that I don't want to seize the opportunity, but your boss won't give me a chance. How about, you drug your boss tonight, and let me have sex with her first?" Xiao Fei teased him. Ali was so scared that he woke up half of his drunkenness. "I can't do that. If I do that, the first thing my boss will do when she wakes up tomorrow is to chop me into pieces." He knew Lu Yan's temper. If Lu Yan's first time was drugged, she would definitely give it to Xiao Fei. How would she be willing? With that little temper, wouldn't she blow up the entire island? "You brat, what are you doing here? They're drinking with you over there. Get lost." Ali was about to say something when Lu Yan grabbed him and threw him out. That strength was enough to make any man submit. Ali was so scared that he ran away, not daring to mention what had just happened. Sitting across from him, Lu Yan asked with a grin, "What did this little bastard say to you?" "Ah, he said that after seeing me for so long, he still can't get his hands on you. His heart aches for me, and he wants to help me get some knockout drugs, so that he can rape you tonight. Bullshit, are you serious? That little bastard dares to say that? Lu Yan obviously didn't believe him. Well, I think that's a good idea. Why don't we give it a try? Xiao Fei smiled. Test your ass. You better get rid of those messy thoughts. Xiao Fei sighed slightly. He took Lu Yan's little hand and rubbed it in his palm. Yan, when the time comes, you'll fall to the ground. You're a little white melon that's almost ripe. If you don't let me pick you, you'll fall to the ground and become a rotten melon. That's a fucking analogy. If you want to fucking sleep with me, just say it. Don't use an analogy with me. Yes, I want to fuck you. So what? Do you dare? Xiao Fei used the most clumsy method to provoke her. Chapter 4807. Normally, Lu Yan wouldn't be fooled, but today she was drunk. Moreover, Lu Yan didn't have any scruples in her own territory, so she was in high spirits and drank a few more glasses. Xiao Fei provoked her, and she immediately jumped into the trap. Fine, I'm not afraid of you. Choose the place. Say the beach, the bedroom, the ammunition depot, or the tower. Xiao Fei. Forget about the ammunition depot and the tower. It's not safe. We don't want the beach either. There are so many people. Let's go back to the room and take our time. Xiao Fei smiled sweetly. Okay, let's go. Whoever backs off today is a coward. Lu Yan said boldly and threw herself into Xiao Fei's arms. Then the two of them left. Everyone was well aware of what was going on between the two of them. Some of them even thought that the two of them had slept together. Only his bodyguard, Duke Aeljin, knew that young Master Qiao was suffering because he hadn't had sex yet. Along the way, Xiao Fei was a little excited, although he knew that he would have sex with her sooner or later. But the earlier he ate, the better. In fact, he was conflicted with every step he took, afraid that Lu Yan would change her mind at the last minute. It wasn't like she hadn't done this before. In Lu Yan's private mansion, Xiao Fei carried her to the top floor. The two of them didn't have time to take a shower, or even take off their clothes. Xiao Fei released the primordial force that he had been holding in for too long, and pounced on her. Lu Yan didn't dare to show weakness. She was originally on the bottom, but she suddenly flipped over and stood on top. The two of them kissed passionately. Xiao Fei felt as if there was a ball of fire burning in his body. His big hand was placed on Lu Yan's waist, but before he could pull open the bow tie of her dress, Lu Yan's watch rang. It was very inappropriate, and not at the right time. But he still had to pick it up, because those who could dial Lu Yan's watch must have important things to do, and no one would gossip. Sure enough, Lu Yan pushed Xiao Fei away and suddenly stood up. Then she pressed the virtual call button. Boss, bad news. Ian's men just attacked the professor's house in Miami. Isn't Dad in LA? Lu Yan frowned slightly. For hours ago, the professor secretly went to Miami with 2 bodyguards. I don't know what they were going to do, but Ian's men went there in 3 trucks with heavy weapons. One of the 2 bodyguards was killed, and the other was injured. The situation is critical. Where are our people? Anxious, Lu Yan jumped up and walked to the window. Most of our people are in South Africa. There are only 2 here. I just transferred them over. They can hold them off for a while. But their firepower is too strong. I'm afraid. Lu Yan's heart sank. At this moment, no matter how anxious he was, it was impossible to quench his immediate thirst. Even if they took off now, it would take 7 or 8 hours to reach Miami. At this moment, Xiao Fei walked up behind her. My men are over there. You do? Lu Yan looked back with surprise in her eyes. Saving people is more important. I'll make a call. As he spoke, he picked up his personal cell phone and made a call. After putting down the phone, he patted Lu Yan's shoulder. They'll be here soon. Don't worry. Uncle Lu will be fine. Fei, how come you have forces in Miami? Lu Yan was so happy that she kissed Xiao Fei's face. Xiao Nan has been very close to some black organizations in the U.S. In the past 3 years, I've arranged people and spies in all the places he's in contact with. Holy shit. That's awesome. My 3rd young master Qiao, Lu Yan praised. Don't give me that. Now that the problem is solved, shall we continue? Xiao Fei said with a straight face. Chapter 4808. Hearing Xiao Fei's reminder, Lu Yan coughed awkwardly. Ahem. You're not going to. Xiao Fei rolled his eyes. I. Luyan was thinking of an excuse. You just said that whoever goes back on his word is a coward, Xiao Fei said. Hello, Grandpa Xiao. Xiao Fei. Look at how beautiful the moon is tonight. Do you want to continue drinking? I have a bottle of 100-year-old peach blossom wine. Do you know how much it costs outside? 30 million yuan a bottle. I bought it from the top winemaker in the country. Do you want to drink it? After being disrupted by the phone call, Luyan was no longer in the mood to continue drinking. She was sober from the alcohol, so she suggested to continue drinking. Xiao Fei didn't want to ruin her mood, so he nodded. Okay, come and get the wine. Bring me my bottle of peach blossom wine. Also, get some side dishes. Yes, boss. 20 minutes later, on the top floor of Lu Yan's private residence, the two of them were drinking on the exquisite Japanese-style tatame. This was the highest place on the entire island, and the top floor was made of transparent glass, giving them a perfect view of the stars and the moon. A bottle of wine and 4 exquisite side dishes. Luyan was in the mood to coax Xiao Fei. She took the initiative to fill his glass. Then, she purposely imitated the coquettish voice of online streamers, and said in a coquettish voice, Baby, don't be mad at me, okay? If you talk to me like this, I'll throw up. Xiao Fei was still serious. Damn, you're a bitch. You want to throw up when I talk to you like a spoiled child, right? Then I'll talk to you with force from now on. Xiao Fei smiled but didn't say anything. He raised his glass and sipped. Luyan looked at the man opposite her. In her heart, her man had always been excellent. He was handsome, good at fighting, quiet and low-key. He fit her requirements perfectly. Most importantly, they had been childhood sweethearts for many years. She had known Xiao Fei longer than her sister and brother-in-law, which was one of the reasons why she was proud of him. Fei, all these years, have I never told you what the thing in my father's hand is? Shoo. Xiao Fei knew what she wanted to say, but he didn't want Lu Yan to open her mouth. Lu Yan smiled with the wine glass in her hand. Don't worry. This room is equipped with the latest anti-eavesdropping system developed by my dad. Even the most advanced countries can't crack it. Then she smiled bitterly. Sometimes I really hate my dad. Say he's an old man in his old age. Instead of enjoying his retirement, what's the use of studying those lousy things? Look at those old people in our country. After they retire, they play chess and drink tea all day long. They can even go square dancing and flirt with beautiful aunties. How magical is that kind of life? Xiao Fei was speechless. He, on the other hand, talks about bombs all day long. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a bomb spirit created by him, Lu Yan said. Xiao Fei almost burst out laughing. Hold it in, don't laugh. I'm serious. If my dad chose to live like an ordinary person, would I be able to? I might still be in some ordinary city in China, going to a third-rate university, having an obedient boyfriend, and then go to the KTV every few days to howl. Then, Lu Yan drank a glass of wine gloomily. Yan, I'll definitely give you a normal life like that. Every time Lu Yan complained about how hard life was, Xiao Fei's heart ached for her. Don't coax me. I know I'm a person with no tomorrow. Maybe I'll die at any time, haha. Lu Yan smiled. Chapter 4809. Don't talk nonsense. After Xiao Fei said those words, he used his actions to prove how much he cared. He gently kissed Lu Yan's mouth. It was a really gentle kiss. Lu Yan was stunned by the sudden kiss. Then when she regained her senses, she responded passionately. Although she had never been nice to Xiao Fei, or rather, she always tortured him. However, Lu Yan had only loved one man in her life, and she had no intention of changing him. She had always known how Xiao Fei felt about her all these years. He even took care of her more than the professor. During those years, Lu Yan was injured, hospitalized, had surgery, got shot, and had to deal with the difficulties of establishing the mercenary group. Xiao Fei had accompanied her through many difficult times. She would never give up on this love that would go through thick and thin together. And she would never give it up. If possible, she really wanted to be with him for the rest of her life. She would never have to live that kind of life again. Midnight Sea City. At South Hill Manor. When Lu Yan woke up, she was very depressed. It had been almost 3 months since she left Xiao Fei. Yes, ever since she came back to save her sister, and was hit by the dream creator's nightmare. The Xiao Fei in the dream had always been fake, a dream creator in disguise. She was smart enough to see through it. In the end, Su Yu's sacrifice allowed everyone to escape from the nightmare. Huomin was sad for Su Yu, and Lu Yan was sad for Xiao Fei, because Xiao Fei was missing for more than 3 months. Ever since Lu Yan woke up from the nightmare, there had been no news of him. Her people had been looking for him all over the world. The Qiao family in Russia had been turned upside down. At first, Lu Yan thought that old Master Qiao was unhappy with her being with Xiao Fei, so he had imprisoned his son. Later, she realized that the Qiao family was also looking for Xiao Fei. Only then did she know that he was really missing. In her dreams, she had dreamed countless times of them kissing passionately on that private island. When she woke up, she still felt Xiao Fei's unique warmth on her lips. However, Lu Yan knew that this was a dream. She got out of bed gloomily. This was the guest bedroom of Huomin's South Hill Manor. She was barefoot and walked softly. She lit a cigarette as she walked. She was different from Huomin. Huomin only smoked when he was depressed. Lu Yan never smoked. She only liked to carry cigarettes with her, because the smoke could cover her scent. Even if it was the smell of blood from her injuries, it would not be easily discovered by her opponent. It was Lu Yan's first time smoking. She didn't know how to smoke, so she coughed after taking a puff. Although she tried her best to suppress her voice, Huomin woke up. Huomin gently got up. Qin Chu patted her back and said, "Put on your jacket. It's cold outside. Comfort Yin well." "Yes." Huomin nodded and walked out of the bedroom. She saw Lu Yin leaning against the wall in the hallway, looking dispirited. "Sis, did I wake you up? Can't sleep?" Huomin walked over and leaned against the wall with her. "Yeah, I dreamed of Qiao Fei." Lu Yin smiled. Huomin didn't speak. Lu Yin took out a thin cigarette and handed it to Huomin. "Do you want one?" "Okay." Huomin took it and lit it skillfully. Then he took a puff. "Sis, do you think he's already?" "He's not." Huomin knew what she was going to say. People were all like this. When they encountered difficulties, they couldn't help but think pessimistically. Even Lu Yin was no exception. She had never been so agitated before, including when Xiao Fei was shot and was about to die. Chapter 48:10. That time, she knew that Xiao Fei wouldn't die. He had a father, sister, and brother-in-law. The 3 masters in the family wouldn't let anything happen to Xiao Fei. But this time, Xiao Fei disappeared, or rather, lost contact with her for 3 whole months. There was no news from him. Before, when Xiao Fei wasn't with her, they wouldn't see each other for 2 months at most. But he would video call her every day, almost never missing a day. So Lu Yan was used to contacting Xiao Fei every day. She couldn't get used to the sudden interruption. "Sis, he would never stop contacting me, because he's afraid that I'll be worried. If he's still alive and in this world, he wouldn't have stopped contacting me for more than 100 days, even to let me know that he's safe. I'm not pessimistic, I just think he might really be gone." Lu Yan lowered her head, her voice hoarse. She wanted to cry, but no tears came out. When people were in extreme sorrow, they couldn't cry. Because their minds were blank, they couldn't think. Huomin understood Lu Yan's feelings, because she had experienced Qin Chu's plane crash, and didn't come back for 4 years. "Yan, I know how you feel. Qin Chu also disappeared, and no one found his body. For 4 whole years I didn't give up. Do you know what kind of faith it is? You've only been gone for 3 months. Don't be so pessimistic." "Sis, I'm so scared." Lu Yan threw away the unfinished cigarette, and it fell to the ground. Then, she threw herself into Huomin's arms. She was such a strong person, but at this moment, she needed a warm embrace to heal herself. Huomin's heart ached. Afraid that the cigarette in his hand would burn her, he quickly threw away his cigarette butt. He stepped on it and gently hugged Lu Yan. "Listen to me, Yan. We're not that weak, so don't be defeated by everything in front of you. I'm the best example. I spent 4 years waiting for Qin Chu to come back. I believe Fei is still alive. He's still waiting for you, waiting to grow old with you. If I can see Fei again, I'll marry him and have children with him immediately." Lu Yan looked up with tears in her eyes. Huomin nodded. Then came Lu Yan's silent sobs and Huomin's endless heartache. Lu Yan was very sad about Xiao Fei's disappearance. After all, even with Lu Yan's strength, she couldn't find him, which made people feel pessimistic. But who knew that Xiao Fei was only missing? After all, there was still hope for him to come back alive. But Suyu, in order to save everyone, Suyu really stayed in the nightmare realm forever. Although he tried his best not to think about it, the slightest thought of it would cause him to feel pain. Huomin felt as if millions of silver needles were stabbing his heart, making him want to die. After comforting Lu Yan for a while, Huomin watched her go back to her room quietly. Relieved, he returned to the master bedroom. When she returned, Qin Chu had already gotten up. Looking at the time, it was 1 in the morning. Qin Chu poured a cup of warm water for Huomin and handed it to him. "Honey, why aren't you sleeping? I'm worried about you too. How's Yan?" Qin Chu asked. "She's not doing well. She thinks Fei is dead." Huomin sighed slightly. "He definitely can't if he's dead. I feel like he was kidnapped." "Oh, honey, do you have any clues?" Huomin leaned over and sat on the edge of the bed. Holding Qin Chu's arm, he looked excited. Chapter 48:11. Qin Chu looked at Huomin guiltily. "I don't have any clues. It's just a guess." Huomin's eyes dimmed. Yes, if even Lu Yan couldn't find him, who else in the world could? "You're not in good health. Go to bed early. Rick and I are investigating Fei's case. If we have any news, we'll inform Yin immediately." Okay. Huomin didn't want Qin Chu to worry, so he went to bed obediently. After giving birth to Qin Guogua, Huomin's body hadn't been in good health. The main reason was that she had cried too much during the confinement period, which left some hidden injuries in her eyes, and she didn't have enough blood. Therefore, it had been almost 3 months since she gave birth, but her body had been weak. It was worse than when she gave birth to the twins. After the baby was born, Qin Chu's parents and a nursery nurse took care of him. Huomin couldn't get over Suyu for a long time, so he fell seriously ill. Qin Chu could understand Lu Yan's feelings, but his heart ached for his wife. So after coaxing Huomin to sleep, Qin Chu called Rick, who was far away in the States. Rick had been in a semi-retired state ever since Cece gave birth to Jean. Like Qin Chu, Rick had become a slave to his daughter. He wasn't willing to take on any business in the underworld, and lived a semi-retired life. If Qin Chu didn't need his help, he really wanted to be an ordinary father. Qin Chu contacted Rick again, and the two analyzed the scattered clues before Xiao Fei went missing. Until midnight, at 6 a.m., Lu Yan ran down the mountain from South Hill Manor to Suyu's former private mansion. The journey was at least 30 miles long. But who was Lu Yan? Her physique was even better than that of a Special Forces soldier. She was wearing a white Nike sportswear, a black baseball cap, and white running shoes. And heard someone knock on the door and opened it in a daze. He was slightly surprised when he saw Lu Yan. Goddess Lu Yan. I'm so hungry. Is there breakfast? I will do it right away. With that, and turned around and ran into the kitchen. After Suyu fell into a coma, Shaoan stayed by his side and refused to leave. Suyu's house was now slightly empty. In the beginning, everyone would come every day. But later, no one was willing to come anymore. It was not because she had forgotten about Suyu, but because she missed him too much. Therefore no one dared to come. Lu Yan ran to find him, and was the only person she was familiar with here other than her sister's family. She wanted to freeload breakfast. Just then, Lu Yan's watch lit up. She received a mysterious text message. Do you want to see him? Follow the address, one person. Lu Yan panicked and left Suyu's house without saying goodbye. Following the address, Lu Yan came to an abandoned ship factory by the sea in a remote part of Sea City. Then every few minutes she would receive a mysterious text message. She followed the text message and kept walking. She walked to the top of the abandoned ship. Then, she saw a black suitcase. When she saw it, Lu Yan's heart sank. Then, a huge sense of panic spread from the bottom of her heart. At this moment, the mysterious text message came again. Open it. The person you want to see is inside. But I promise you'll never forget it. Luyan didn't dare to open it. This scene was too familiar. She was especially afraid that it contained Xiao Fei's body. She raised her hand and scanned the suitcase with her watch, eliminating the danger of a bomb. Then, she walked toward the suitcase step by step. After 10 seconds of silence, Luyan opened it with both hands. It was empty. Then a familiar voice sounded behind her. "Hey silly girl, I'm here." The person was wearing a navy blue Russian military uniform. He had short silver hair and was holding a black phone in his hand. Luyan turned around abruptly. The moment she saw clearly, tears streamed down her face. Luyan's narration. Chapter 48:12. According to our station, Yang, who retired from the music industry for more than 10 years, flew back to China early this morning. He was accompanied by his wife, Chen Jia. Qin Zhaozhao, one of the heirs of the GK Corporation and the youngest member of the board of directors, was in charge of picking them up. Will GK make any big moves in the future? Let's wait and see if Yang will make a comeback for GK. A female anchorwoman's report came from a black Rolls-Royce. Everyone in the car laughed. Sitting in the passenger seat was a girl who was about 17 or 18 years old. She was very pretty. Her long, slightly curly hair was the color of coffee. Her eyes were the same as Qin Chu's, and her looks were also the essence of Qin Chu and Huomin's. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. Uncle Yang is already so old, yet he's still making a comeback. These domestic media outlets are really unscrupulous in order to attract attention. They dare to write anything. Yang was in the back seat. Although he was almost 40 years old, he took good care of himself. He put his hand on Chen Jia's hand and looked at the familiar scenery outside the window. He sighed. "I haven't been back in a long time. How's my sister?" Pudding nodded. "Mom, she's fine. Where's little Bean?" "She's doing an internship at Southside and helping out Mom." Yang sighed. "I didn't expect one of you to go into business and the other to study medicine. I thought you two would always be little princesses." "Uncle Yang, you haven't seen my brother yet, right?" Yang was in a good mood when he heard Pudding's words. "Yeah, I've lived overseas for many years and rarely come back. I only met your parents 5 years ago in Australia. As for your brother, I've only seen his photo, but I've never seen him in person." "Then you're in luck this time. He was studying abroad in the UK. But this is our coming-of-age ceremony, so he came back early. You'll be able to see him soon." Chen Jia was excited and couldn't suppress the joy in her heart. "Great, I'll be able to see everyone again." The car slowly drove into South Hill Manor. Qin Chu and Huomin were already prepared and waiting at the door. Ever since Yang went abroad, he rarely came back. Yang and Chen Jia's daughter had grown up and was only a few years younger than Pudding and Little Bean. However, because he went to the summer camp with the school this time, it was a pity that he couldn't make it. The car slowly stopped in front of South Hill Manor. Chen Jia got out of the car and ran towards Huomin. "Sister Mian." She gave Huomin a big hug. Huomin still liked to dress plainly. She wore a plain-colored dress, and her long hair reached her shoulders. There was a faint smile on his face. The corners of his eyes showed signs of age. On the other hand, Qin Chu didn't change much. He was still as handsome as ever. Standing beside Huomin, the two looked like a natural couple. "Sis, you're still the same. You look the same as when I saw you 5 years ago." Yang smiled. "Brat, you're the only one who knows how to talk. Did you see the news? Everyone in China is saying that you're going to make a comeback," Huomin joked. Yang laughed. "Sure, I'll sign with GK when I make a comeback. After all, you're the biggest media company now. What do you think, brother-in-law?" Yang looked at Qin Chu. The corners of Qin Chu's lips curled up slightly. "I can't make the decision. You can ask our president Qin." Qin Chu looked at Pudding. Pudding put her arm around Yang's shoulder from behind and said playfully, "Uncle Yang, if you sign with my company, I'll definitely give you the best treatment. But if you want to make a comeback, will your wife agree?" Chapter 48:13. Okay, stop fooling around. Go inside and rest. Huomin smiled and invited Yang and Chen Jia into the house. Pudding turned around and walked out. Mom, I have something to do at the company. I need to go take care of it. Okay. When you come back from work, pick up your sister at South Side, Huomin instructed. I'm going to pick up Little Bean. What about Qin Guogua? Who's going to pick him up? Pudding asked. I'll pick him up, Huomin said. I'll go, Qin Chu said. You two are so biased. Pudding was picky, so she turned around and walked away. Pudding and Little Bean turned 18 this year. Therefore, the Qin family, which hadn't been so lively in a long time, decided to hold a grand coming-of-age ceremony for the two little princesses. Then, in the next few years, Huomin and Qin Chu's family and friends would gather. This was a very good thing for the couple, as they could see their good friends whom they hadn't seen in years. Pudding and the chauffeur drove back to the company in the Rolls-Royce. They were in time for a meeting of GK Entertainment's artists. GK Entertainment was a subsidiary of GK Corporation, and it was the largest company in China. After Suyu disappeared, the artists who replaced him from Imperial Star Entertainment all joined GK. Qin Zhaozhao, Qin Chu and Huomin's eldest daughter, Pudding, became the youngest member of the board of directors of GK Entertainment. She was also the CEO of GK Entertainment. Some people asked why she didn't go to school or study abroad when she was 18 years old. The answer was that she and Little Bean had finished all the courses when they were 16 years old. After graduating from numerous universities, they didn't need to waste time abroad. 2 years ago, the two sisters came back to China. Qin Mumu studied medicine and became an excellent brain surgeon, which she inherited from Qin Chu. Qin Zhaozhao studied finance and returned to the family business, becoming an excellent manager. Qin Guogua, who was 4 years younger than the twins, was still studying in England. At 14 years old, he went to university. The three children of the Qin family were geniuses. Their genes were amazing. President Qin. Hello, President Qin. GK Entertainment Qin Zhaozhao was wearing a white long-sleeved chiffon blouse with a dark blue fishtail skirt and high heels. She was dressed a little maturely and professionally, but it couldn't hide the face of a teenage girl. There were also people who said that there were obvious differences between the twins after they grew up. Little Bean was only slightly fatter than Pudding. Pudding's eyes looked a little like Lu Yan's, with a hint of heroism and dominance. Little Bean, on the other hand, was calm and composed. She looked more like Huomin. Therefore, those who were familiar with them would never confuse them. President Qin, the meeting room is ready. Is everyone here? The female secretary was at a loss for words. Qin Zhaozhao took the meeting materials from her and asked casually, Liao Mukin didn't come? Yes, President Qin, they must be stuck in a traffic jam. I just called his cell phone and his agent's cell phone, but they didn't pick up. I'll try again later. The female secretary was a little ashamed. It's not your fault. Let's begin. Pudding's personality and way of doing things were very similar to her father, Qin Chu. But there was one difference. Qin Chu was more or less the same when it came to work in life. He didn't talk much and was more cold. Pudding, on the other hand, was cold and selfless when it came to work. In life, she was much gentler and wasn't as domineering. This was one of the things that people in the industry thought highly of her. As the heir of a rich second-generation heir, Qin Zhaozhao was the most popular. The media once reported that she would replace her brother as the sole heir of GK. Qin Zhaozhao walked into the meeting room with the documents. 106 of the 107 heavyweight artists signed under GK were here. President Qin. All the artists stood up when they saw her walk in. In fact, all of them were older than the president. After all, the president's 18th birthday was in a few days. Chapter 48:14. Qin Zhaozhao sat in the president's seat and lowered her head with a serious expression. Let's begin. President Qin, Mukin isn't here yet. Do you want to wait? A female artist reminded. No need. The president's tone was cold. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Everyone looked up and saw Liao Mukin, who was wearing jeans and a white short-sleeved shirt, leaning against the door with a lollipop in his mouth. Sorry, President Qin, I'm late. There was a traffic jam. He took out the lollipop from his mouth and explained. Qin Zhaozhao tilted her head and looked at him. You couldn't get through to your phone in traffic? My phone ran out of battery. Your agent's phone ran out of battery too? Qin Zhaozhao was vaguely angry. After all, this wasn't the first time this guy was late for a meeting. My agent didn't bring her phone and left it in the dressing room at headquarters, he argued. Qin Zhaozhao glanced at him and looked down at the information. Don't think that just because you're popular, you can look down on others. Of course not. Even if I don't care about others, I still care about my boss. Liao Mukin smiled cheekily. Go back to your seat and start the meeting, the president said. He staggered in a few steps but didn't sit in his seat. Instead, he sat in the first row, very close to Pudding. Then he propped his hands up and looked at his young boss. Liao Mukin was the most popular male star under GK. Speaking of which, it was quite amazing that he became popular less than half a year ago. Half a year ago, GK held a rookie audition for the Rising Star, and Liao Mukin won the championship with 80 million online votes. He got the chance to sign a contract with GK, and GK even signed this newbie with 10 million yuan. For a time, no one could compare to him. What was even more strange was that this guy sang and ran away. He acted and danced. His dance moves weren't standard, and his talk shows were always off topic. However, it was this kind of person who wasn't good at anything that occupied the #1 position in the country. Just Weibo's trending searches alone had been on it more than 100 times. His Weibo followers had also soared from 20,000 to 18 million. Every time he posted on Weibo, there would be as many as 500,000 comments. The reposts had exceeded 20 million. Therefore, in the first half of the year, he had accepted 12 endorsements alone. And they were all international A-listers. He was so jealous of the seniors in the industry. Qin Zhaozhao had always looked down on this brat. She felt that he did not have any talent, and only relied on that devilish face of his. More importantly, that face of his. Thinking of this, Qin Zhaozhao rubbed her temples irritably. The company will be shooting 3 big movies in the second half of the year. One of them is a disaster movie with Hollywood in the United States. Our company has already confirmed that we will invest 500 million yuan and get a role in a very important role. Hearing this, the crowd below began to stir. Everyone thought that such a good opportunity would definitely belong to Liao Mukin. Unexpectedly, the CEO changed the topic. I've discussed it with the board of directors, and we've decided that Lu Jia will star in the film. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Who was Lu Jia? She was a newcomer who had been in the company for 3 years, but had never been popular. She was chosen because she acted in a teen idol web drama. Because of the high viewership, she was chosen by GK's agent. After he entered GK, the company messed up a few projects, but he never got famous because he couldn't find a suitable persona. In terms of popularity and appearance, he couldn't compare to Liao Mukin. President, I have an objection. Liao Mukin took out his lollipop and raised his hand again. Speak. The young CEO glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. Why not me? He dared to ask. He was so direct, and asked the CEO in front of everyone. Chapter 48:15. Qin Zhaozhao looked at the dazzling superstar below the stage and said calmly, because you're not suitable. No one dared to make a sound, and the room fell into silence. Liao Mukin raised his chin provocatively and continued to question her. How am I not suitable? She stared into his eyes and said mercilessly, because you have no talent and no morals. Look at yourself. As a superstar, you sing out of tune. You can't keep up with the rhythm of your dance. You're offline when you're acting, and you even filmed a car accident on a variety show. How dare you ask me that? But if I'm like this, I'm still a superstar. No matter how good other people are, they're not as popular as me. I have the biggest contract in the company. I get the most money. I have the most endorsements, and I make the most profits for the company. Also, President Qin, I want to ask, if you don't like me, why did you spend so much money to sign me in the first place? The guy almost said, aren't you slapping yourself in the face with money? At this moment, Pudding, oh no, we should call her Little President Qin now. Little President Qin's face darkened bit by bit. Since she was young, very few people spoke to her so rudely. Even her sister, who always dissed her, didn't dare to cross the line like this. This condescending fellow was really. Mukin, don't you think you've crossed the line? Do you know that little President Chin is President Chin's most beloved daughter? It won't do you any good to offend her. The female star beside him cautiously reminded the guy. However, the guy smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, I'll go somewhere else if you don't want me here." Of course, he didn't let little President Chin hear what he said. The young female president stared at him for 5 seconds and finally said, "It was my decision to sign you, but I won't let you embarrass GK." Then, she went back to reading the documents and continuing the meeting, ignoring the man. Back then, when they had signed him, the board of directors had not objected to it. It was because this kid was very popular. He was a veritable superstar. However, Chin Chu was once curious why his daughter signed a superstar. It wasn't her style. Of course, Pudding always had a secret that Chin Chu, Huamin, and even Little Bean didn't know. That secret was naturally related to Liao Mukin. But ever since he came to the company, every time he went against her, she found him an eyesore. She didn't want to terminate the contract. She was conflicted over and over again. After the meeting, President Chin did not forget to remind his secretary, "That guy is late. Remember to deduct his salary." "Okay, CEO Chin." Then, she got up and was about to leave with the information bag. "Chairman Chin." Behind him, the man's playful voice sounded again. She stopped but did not turn back. "Anything else?" "President Chin, I heard this weekend is your coming-of-age ceremony. I wonder if I'm lucky enough to be invited." Before he could finish his sentence, she raised her hand and interrupted. "No. Tisk tsk. How cold and heartless, but even if you refuse to let me participate, I still have a way to go." He smiled mysteriously. This beautiful CEO was probably the most interesting girl he had ever seen in his life. She was only 18 years old, but she always pretended to be mature. Her style of doing things and her words were not at all like an 18-year-old. Sometimes he would even wonder if she was a transmigrator. Chapter 48:16. The weather in the north in October was unpredictable. Normally, the sky would be clear, but as soon as a cool breeze blew, it would start to drizzle, bringing with it a hint of autumn. After the meeting, Qin Zhaozhao went back to her office to read some documents. Seeing that it was about time, she picked up her bag and left the office. The female assistant didn't forget to put a beige windbreaker on her. As she walked out, she saw a familiar face. "President Qin," the man called out politely. "Uncle Yang." The ordinary-looking man in front of her was her father's assistant and right-hand man for many years. Now he was one of the directors of GK. Qin Chu gave him some shares and asked him to participate in the internal management of GK. Yang had been around for 2 generations. "How's the preparation for your coming-of-age ceremony going?" Yang asked with a smile. "My parents have been working on it." "That's good. I haven't seen President Qin and Mrs. Qin in a while. Come to my place for dinner tonight. My little brother is back." "Haha, really? That kid is back. Okay, I'll go with your uncle after work." Hearing that Qin Guogul was back, everyone was overjoyed. Qin Zhaozhao got off work early. She walked out of GK and drove her white Lamborghini to South Side. GK was a big company and had countless luxury cars. When she was at work, receiving clients, or attending events, she and her dad mostly used limited edition Rolls-Royces. In private, Qin Chu liked Maybachs, and Humin liked Audi R8s. This hadn't changed for many years. Little Bean liked the Porsche 911. She always thought that it was the most beautiful car in Porsche. Pudding, on the other hand, liked Lamborghinis with strong lines. In fact, very few girls liked Lamborghinis because they were too strong and sharp. However, for some reason she liked them. She had always wanted to buy the Sixth Element. However, that car had disappeared a long time ago and couldn't be bought anymore. Therefore, she ordered a new model for herself. It was white and looked very cool when she drove it. Pudding and Little Bean got their international driver's licenses when they were 16, so they had 2 years of driving experience. Little Bean was lazy and didn't want to drive, especially since she was doing her internship at Southside. Huamin didn't want her to be so high profile. Therefore, the two sisters often shared the same channel. When Pudding got off work, she would go to South Side to pick her sister up. Southern District Gate. The white Lamborghini was parked in the parking lot. The numbers ending with 6 were particularly eye-catching. She got out of the car gracefully. Her fishtail skirt swayed in the wind. Fortunately, her assistant had brought her a jacket. Otherwise, it would have been really cold. As soon as she entered the hall, the nurse immediately greeted her respectfully. "Mississippi. I'm here to pick Little Bean up," she said. Her face was cold and distant, as if she was talking to a stranger. "Second miss is in the lab. I'll go get her." "No need, I'll wait for her downstairs for a while." Then, she found an empty seat and sat down. Everyone in the hospital knew that she was Director Hu's daughter. The eldest and the second eldest were twins. They were very similar, but their personalities were completely different. 10 minutes later, Little Bean, who was wearing a white lab coat, ran down the stairs. She smelled of formalin. "Big May, you came to pick me up. Who went to pick up that brat?" Little Bean called Pudding Big May, and forced her sister to call her Second May. However, Pudding never called her that. "Dad went." "I think so," she said faintly. "You're biased. Tell Dad to pick me up tomorrow. You go pick up that brat." Little Bean was unhappy. "Do you think I'm your chauffeur?" Pudding rolled her eyes. Chapter 48:17. You're a good driver. If I could do it myself, do you think I'd use you? Cut the crap. Get in the car. Pudding didn't want to argue with Little Bean and walked out. The sisters got into the sports car and left the hospital. On the way, Little Bean was restless and gossiped. "Sis, you and Liao Mukin. Why mention him all of a sudden?" "Sis, Dad and Mom haven't seen him yet, right?" Little Bean asked. "Yeah. If one day, do you think Mom and Dad will remember something when they see him?" Little Bean's eyes became complicated. Pudding's hands on the steering wheel twitched. It was obvious that she was feeling emotional. "I don't want them to see each other so soon," Pudding said. "But you can't keep it a secret forever. Besides, Dad and Mom might not remember. Or rather, everyone might not remember, except for the two of us." "Shut up. Stop talking." Pudding was agitated. Little Bean was about to say something when her phone rang. Hello. What is it?" Little Bean picked up the phone and smiled. She didn't need to guess to know that it was Gao Buyuan. Gao Buyuan was the only one in the group who didn't study abroad. He inherited his grandfather's and father's expectations and got into the best public security university in the country. He went to university in Jing City and was said to be the most outstanding student in the group. After he grew up, Gao Buyuan's figure was much better than when he was young. Maybe it was because he worked out often, but he became thinner and had an 8-pack. Gao Buyuan and Little Bean's friendship hadn't changed. Although he went to school in Jing City, he had to come back every Friday and leave on Sunday night. Rain or shine, the two didn't say it out loud, but they had established a relationship. Zhu Lingling and Huamin were very happy. Gao Ran, who was promoted to the deputy director of the public security department, often came to drink with Qin Chu. The two families were as close as before. "Little Bean, you're in the car?" "Yeah, my sister is here to pick me up." "I heard your brother came back," Gao Buyuan, who was wearing a police officer uniform, said handsomely. "You know that? Good news. My mom called me a long time ago. So when are you coming back?" Little Bean couldn't wait. "Isn't the coming-of-age ceremony on Saturday? I'll go back on Friday night. It's still the same time." "That won't do. It's too late. Apply for leave from the teacher and come back on Thursday. I want you to come back early and accompany me to shop." I need to ask for leave." "What? You're not willing? Am I not worth it?" Little Bean pouted and began to whine. No, I'm willing. I'll tell the teacher in a bit and change the ticket." Okay. I'll pick you up then." Little Bean was very happy. "You drive? Forget it. Let my mom go to the airport." Gao Buyuan was worried about Little Bean's driving skills. After all, she still held the record of crashing into a Porsche 3 times in a week on the road. Another big party. That's great. Unfortunately, Brother Yunchu can't. Gao Buyuan didn't finish his sentence. Little Bean quickly shushed him, telling him to stop talking. Don't rub salt into my wound, she whispered. After Wei Yinshu went to study in the United States, he hadn't returned for 5 years. The last time they saw each other was 5 years ago. At that time, they were only 13 or 14 years old. On the day Wei Yinshu left, Pudding had a fever and fell ill. After she woke up, she blocked his phone and WeChat and never contacted Wei Yinshu again. There was only one reason for all of this, and that was Wei Yinshu had left the country with Tian Tian. Chapter 48:18. Realizing that he had misspoken, Gao Buyuan immediately shut his mouth. Little Bean. Wait for me. I'll go ask for leave. Good girl. Little Bean hung up the phone with a satisfied expression. Then, she looked at her sister with a smile. Big May, I'm so sorry. I unknowingly showed off my love to you again, and it's of such high quality. Pudding was still calm. She only replied with 3 words. I'm used to it. No matter what the situation was, her sister's calm attitude was very similar to Mommy's, Little Bean thought. However, although Mommy's personality was calm, she wasn't cold. Her sister was the combination of Mommy and Daddy's personalities. On one side, she was calm, and on the other, she was cold and a little arrogant. Although she was only 18 years old, she had been helping Qin Chu with official business for more than 2 years. Other than helping the family business, Pudding also had her own venture capital company and knew how to make all kinds of investments. Occasionally, she would also play the stock market. Therefore, she was the richest among this group of super-rich second-generation heirs. She was truly a little rich woman. The sisters drove back to South Hill Manor. Their grandparents, uncles, and other immediate family members were all present. They were all busy in the front and back of the house. Qin Chu drove to pick up Qin Guogua, who had just returned from Germany. Pudding glanced around, but didn't see Huomin. Grandma, where's Mommy? Pudding held the old woman's hand and asked in a low voice. Your Mommy went to pick up guests. She'll be back soon. As soon as the old woman finished speaking, Huomin's car came back. She didn't drive her sports car. Instead, she used her family's Mercedes-Benz. When Pudding saw the 2 people who got out of the car, she instantly burst into tears. Little Bean ran over excitedly and tugged at the corner of her sister's clothes. Sis, look, that's... Little Bean didn't finish her sentence because she couldn't say anything else. Beside Huomin were 2 old people. Although they were almost 70 years old, they still looked so young. Lady Sue was wearing a white suit and skirt like the Queen of England. She was wearing a white top hat and carrying a branded bag. The head of the Sue family, who was also Su Yu's father, wore a dark gray Chinese tunic suit and held a walking stick in his hand. His aura was still as strong as ever. Lord Su had passed away 8 years ago. At that time, Huomin had specially brought his entire family to attend his funeral. The Su family had been living in seclusion in Jiangnan town and rarely came back. In everyone's memory, the 2 elders of the Su family had no children. They only knew Huomin because Lady Su was hospitalized at Southside many years ago. Since then, the 2 families had been on good terms. The Su couple loved the twins very much. When the twins were young, they had been fostered by them. As for the reason, no one could remember, because it had been too long. Yes, this was everyone's memory after Su Yu disappeared. The last thing he asked Master Wu to do was to erase everyone's memories. Even En, who had followed Su Yu for many years, got married and had children. He changed his name and didn't remember his master. Imperial Star was also given to the twins as a gift. In the end, it was merged into GK. However, in everyone's memory, they felt that this company was forcefully acquired by GK because no one was managing it. They didn't remember who the previous owner of Imperial Star was. However, sis, don't lose your composure. Don't lose your composure. I understand how you feel. Little Bean held her sister's hand tightly and reminded her in a low voice. Chapter 48:19. Pudding nodded. She calmed herself down and walked toward the 2 elders of the Su family. Pudding walked up to them and gave them a big hug. Mr. Lord Su, Grandma Su, thank you for coming, she said. Silly child, I've watched you grow up. How can we not come to such an important ceremony? Mrs. Su smiled gently. Where's little Bean? Mr. Su asked. Mr. Lord Su, I'm here. Haha. Little Bean was still as naughty as ever. She jumped up to the couple in a flash. Don't be so naughty. You'll scare Mr. Lord Su, Pudding scolded. No way. Mr. Lord Su won't be that timid. The couple smiled. Looking at the twins who were both 18 years old, they realized how unforgiving time was. Mr. Lord Su, Grandma Su, my grandparents are waiting for you inside. They've prepared your favorite Longjing tea. Come on in. Pudding and Little Bean helped the couple into the house. Pudding, is your dad back? Huamin looked at his eldest daughter and asked. Not yet. That's weird. It's been so long. He should have come back before me. Huamin looked at his watch and felt a little uneasy. Don't worry, Mommy. Your husband and son's IQ combined is almost higher than Auntie's. Don't worry. Little Bean comforted her mother with a smile. Huamin smiled and shook his head. At the airport, when Qin Chu picked up his son, he saw the bodyguards behind him. Because he knew them. Alai. Qin Chu was slightly surprised. Hello, President Qin. We were ordered to protect the young master. Ha. Alai scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Where are Yin and Fei? Qin Chu asked. They were supposed to arrive around this time. But my boss had something to do, and went to Malaysia. They'll be here tonight at the latest. Qin Chu nodded, pleased with Lu Yan's arrangement. In fact, his son was already 14 years old, and could be considered a young adult. It was not a big deal for him to fly back to China alone. But Lu Yan was still worried. So she secretly arranged for 2 super masters to escort them all the way back from Berlin. Dad. The 14-year-old Qin Yuyao was already 1.75 meters tall. If Pudding and Little Bean were described as exquisite, then this kid could only be described as beautiful. She used to think that no matter how good-looking a man was, he would only be the best in the world like Qin Chu, Su Yu and Xiao Fei. When this kid grows up, you'll find that he alone can crush all of his male elders. How did Huamin give birth to such a handsome son? There was a period of time when she even suspected that her son was not her own. Was it a mistake, or had he been swapped? Qin Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little young master wasn't so heaven-defying when he was young. Although he was extremely handsome, he wasn't so attractive to both men and women. Now that she had grown up, her face was enough to ascend to the throne of the most beautiful face in Asia. He dressed very casually, perhaps because of something in the dark. Qin Yuyao liked to wear light blue jeans, the kind that was a little shabby, but he couldn't have holes in his pants. He had severe OCD, and couldn't accept holes in his pants. He only liked to wear white short-sleeved shirts on his upper body, and he loved a brand, Versace. Almost every white short-sleeved shirt had the head of Medusa on it. No one remembered that there was once a man who liked to wear Medusa. Are you tired? Qin Chu patted his son's shoulder. Men were never as good at expressing their feelings as women. So with just a look or a gesture, the kid knew that his dad loved him deeply. Chapter 48:20. Qin Yuyao shook his head but didn't say anything. He was similar to Qin Chu in that he didn't talk much, but his words were always gold. 2 years ago, when his son went abroad, Huamin cried for a long time. He thought that his son was too young, and was afraid that he wouldn't be able to adapt to a foreign country, and would miss home. However, Qin Chu insisted on sending him. Reality proved that Qin Chu was right. Qin Yuyao didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, he was like a fish in water, and was more cheerful than before. This time, he asked for leave to come back to China, because of his sister's coming-of-age ceremony. Get in the car. Qin Chu was happy. He put his hand on his son's back, and the father and son got into the Rolls-Royce. Alai and another of Lu Yan's men got into the second car. Alai could be considered to have borrowed the young master's glory to return to the country once again, and come to see city. Did you prepare a gift for your sisters? On the way, Qin Chu asked on purpose. No, Qin Guogua answered calmly. Aren't you afraid that they'll be angry? Big Sis is super rich and doesn't lack anything. It's meaningless to give her anything. As for second sis, she's like a happy husky. She'll forget about anything in less than 3 hours. So, based on the above analysis, it's better not to give her anything. Hearing his son's words, Qin Chu almost laughed out loud. This kid had been abroad for 2 years, and he had become more and more shrewd. The car slowly drove into South Hill Manor. Qin Yao followed Qin Chu and got out of the car one after another. He was carrying a limited edition Louis Vuitton black travel bag and wearing a pair of pale yellow sunglasses. He looked like a European superstar. Little Bean naughtily took out her cell phone and recorded a video of her father and brother. She teased, "Look, my dad is such an excellent person, but beside my brother, he's like an agent." Little Bean's words made everyone laugh. Pudding looked calm. She crossed her arms and looked at the father and son who were walking over. They were the 2 men closest to her in the world. Pudding quietly admired the 2 people who looked similar to her and felt an indescribable warmth in her heart. "That's you, Yao. My God, he's already so tall." Lady Sue stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, could not help but sigh. Compared to the twins, she didn't know much about the young master. Qin Yao's personality was very independent when he was young. He almost didn't need to be specially taken care of. He was the kind of person who was super free-range. When he was 12 years old, he could go abroad alone and live in a dormitory outside the school. Furthermore, it was said that he was proficient in 12 different languages and was extremely talented. Her IQ had never been measured, but a conservative estimate was that she was above her 2 sisters. She was even a little smarter than big sister. "My grandson is getting better and better. He doesn't look like a 14-year-old at all." Lady Qin stood proudly in front of Lady Sue. Grandma Sue, do you think my little brother is suitable to be a celebrity? He'll definitely have a lot of fans on Weibo," Little Bean said happily. "Nonsense. My grandson is not a celebrity. Filming and singing are so tiring. We don't lack money, so we don't want to do that kind of hard labor." Grandma rejected directly. "Dad, where's Mom?" From afar, Qin Yao noticed many guests in the house. He glanced around but didn't see his mother. He couldn't help but worry. "Do you miss your mom?" Qin Chu tilted his head and teased his son. Little young master's face was filled with shyness. Chapter 48:21. Ignoring his father's teasing, Qin Yao walked in with big strides. Looking at the 4 kind-looking elders in the living room, he quickly bowed. "Grandpa, Grandma, Master Lord Su, Grandma Su. You seem to have grown a lot taller." Old Master Qin's face was full of affection. However, although everyone was happy that Huimin gave birth to 3 sons, the twins were still more favored. The Qin family didn't have a tradition of favoring sons over daughters, so they naturally didn't favor sons. Pudding and Little Bean's usual teasing was just a joke. After all, the birth of their younger brother made the family laugh and feel happy. Qin Yao stood in the living room and chatted with the 4 elders for a while. Then, he looked around but still didn't see his mother. He couldn't help but frown slightly. In the end, he couldn't help but walk up to Little Bean. "Foodie, where's Mom?" "Yes, you didn't see wrong." This kid rarely called the twins sister, unless it was a formal occasion with many people. Otherwise, he would always call Pudding a nouveau riche, and Little Bean a foodie. Little Bean rolled her eyes. "How old are you? Are you a child? Are you looking for Mom everywhere? On such an important day, Mom naturally went to pick up our family's distinguished guests. Don't you know that Uncle Rick and Auntie Cece are back? And Auntie Lingling, Auntie Xiaowei, and the others." All right. Seeing that his second sister wasn't talking to him properly, Qin Yao couldn't be bothered with her and turned to leave. That cold aura was exactly the same as Qin Chu's. Little Bean was about to complain to Pudding that this kid came back to find trouble with his mother. However, when she turned around, she realized that Pudding, who was still here just now, had disappeared. She didn't know where she had gone. Little Bean looked around curiously. Finally, she saw Pudding in the back garden, while standing in the corridor on the top floor. She was talking to someone with a solemn expression. After taking a closer look at the person beside her sister, Little Bean turned pale with fright. Then, he ran in the direction of the rear courtyard. In the back garden of South Hill Manor in a quiet corner, Pudding sat on a wooden swing with a lonely expression. Beside her stood a man with white hair. He was wearing a green-gray robe and had expensive prayer beads in his hand. "Fifth Grandpa, I still can't forget him," Pudding said in a low voice. The old man sighed slightly. "In the blink of an eye, it's been more than 10 years. I'm old now and no one remembers me, but I can't forget you. You've lived with him for so long. But I'm surprised that the array didn't work on you and Little Bean. Later, I thought that the reason why you two weren't lured into the dream was because of the jade gourds. Although I don't know where Lu Yen got the gourds, it seems that they're really powerful. Not only can they ward off evil spirits, but they're also unaffected by any external forces. Back then, Master Wu and Suyu wanted to see each other in their dreams, and in their last conversation with Suyu, Suyu's last wish was for all his friends and family in this world to forget about him. That way, there wouldn't be any pain. Master Wu also knew that Suyu had already started his own life in another parallel world. Although this was a little heartless, it was the best choice for him and everyone else. Especially Huamin. After Suyu disappeared, Huamin couldn't walk out of that shadow for a long time. Later on, Master Wu activated the array, and everyone's memories of Suyu were erased. Only Pudding and Little Bean retained them. It also became the only secret between the two sisters and Master Wu. Even Huamin and Qin Chu didn't know about it. Chapter 48-22. After hearing Master Wu's words, Pudding smiled bitterly. "That's good too. I don't want to forget him. That's unfair to him. Even the dream quest said that death isn't the only end. Forgetting is, so how could I forget him? Pudding, you've grown up. There are some things you can't be so stubborn about. He's not dead. He's just starting a new life. Fifth Grandpa, can I go and see him? Just one look." Pudding's eyes were filled with eagerness. She really just wanted to see him. Just one look. "That's impossible. The world he's in isn't our world at all. I can't bring you to see him across space and time." "Then why can you meet him in his dreams?" Pudding refused to give up. At that time, it was because he still had a trace of longing for this world. Now that he has let go of everything, I can't enter his dreams anymore. "Child, don't be stubborn. This is his life, and also your life." Master Wu's words were filled with sadness. Pudding's eyes turned red, and she felt terrible. Although Little Bean missed Suyu a lot, she didn't miss him as much as her sister did. For a while, Pudding wondered what kind of feelings she had for Suyu. Was it love? Was it love between a man and a woman? Or was it dependence? Was it because she was used to relying on Suyu all these years? She thought about it for a long time, but she still couldn't find an answer. Pudding's special feelings for Suyu weren't between a man and a woman, but it wasn't kinship either. It was a special feeling. It was beyond these superficial feelings. So far, only 4 people knew about this complicated feeling. Pudding herself, Little Bean, Master Wu, and Wei Yinchu. Wei Yinchu, who liked Pudding deeply, was used by Tian because of this. He felt that Pudding couldn't let go of Suyu, so she wouldn't give him any chance. That was why Wei Yinchu chose to go abroad a few years ago and cut off all contact with Pudding. The adults did not know what happened between the children. They only felt that perhaps they had grown up and had their own thoughts. Therefore, the elders didn't interfere. Originally, Jiang Xiaowei and Huamin becoming in-laws was just a joke. The main thing was whether there was fate between the children. Pudding wasn't as lucky as Little Bean. Since young, Little Bean had only hung out with Gao Buyuan. She had a clear goal, and once said that she would get married after Buyuan graduated. Qin Chu and Huamin naturally wouldn't object. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ren also liked Little Bean very much. They had treated her like their own daughter all these years. As for Pudding, while she was struggling with her feelings for Suyu, she also forced Wei Yinchu to leave. She felt very guilty, and felt that she had let him down. Therefore, after Wei Yinchu left, Pudding put most of her energy into GK. Therefore, in less than 2 years, GK Entertainment was already under Pudding's sole management. Qin Chu was also gratified that his daughter was an outstanding successor. Fifth Grandpa. Little Bean ran in panting. "I told you to eat less. Look at you, you're so tired after running for a while. Master Wu looked at Little Bean lovingly. Her face was similar to Pudding's, but she had a completely different personality and soul. Fifth Grandpa, you came at the right time. Persuade my sister. Let bygones be bygones. We love handsome Sue very much, but he's no longer in this world. After gasping for breath, Little Bean said this with a serious face. It was unexpected. Chapter 48:23. Master Wu pointed at Little Bean and asked Pudding. Do you see it? Even your second son is more open-minded than you. Pudding, sometimes it's not good to be too stubborn. The only ones who will suffer will be you and the people around you. Fifth Grandpa hopes that you can be a Buddhist girl and be as calm as your mother. My mom isn't calm, especially when it comes to handsome Sue. If she finds out the truth. No sis, don't tell Mom. She's been in pain for so long and has finally forgotten about it. Besides, didn't we agree to give her a surprise at the coming-of-age ceremony? Little Bean ran over and covered Pudding's mouth, afraid that Pudding would go crazy and tell Huamian about it again. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Fifth Grandpa, let's go, I'll take you in for tea. Then, Pudding and Little Bean held Master Wu's arm and brought the old man into the main hall. Although Suyu had been forgotten by everyone remembered Master Wu and respected him. In Huamian's impression, Master Wu was an old man who liked to read fortunes and read feng shui. As for the rest, it was very vague. She couldn't remember when she met Master Wu. It was no wonder that Qin Guogua couldn't find her mother. Huamian had indeed taken the time to sneak out. She went to pick up Rick and Cece, then took little Jean to GK's private custom-made shop. She took out the custom-made evening gown for little Jean, and the little girl was overjoyed. Auntie Mian, thank you. The dress is really beautiful. Jean was actually not young anymore. She was born in the same year as Qin Guogua, only a few days apart. Therefore, Qin Guogua was 14 years old this year, so was Jean. It was said that she played the violin very well, and her dream was to be a world-famous musician and hold a grand concert in Vienna. All these years, in order to help her realize her dream, Rick had indeed changed a lot. Almost all of his businesses had been cleared and became official. He opened a company in the United States, and even worked exclusively with Qin Chu. The family of three had just returned from their vacation in Fiji. They did not go home but flew straight over. Other than Rick, Cece and Jin's family, Huamian also saw an old friend, Nia Lingxian. Because she had erased her memory of Suyu, she couldn't remember much about Nia Lingxian. She only vaguely knew that she used to be a big star. Later on, she migrated to Canada, found a Chinese husband, and gave birth to 2 boys. Nia Lingxian didn't come back to attend the twins' coming-of-age ceremony. Instead, she came back to visit her family with Cece. Therefore, the 2 of them agreed to arrive at the domestic airport one after the other. Huamian would pick them up, so they arrived together. Huamian felt warmth in his heart as he watched Rick wipe the ice cream off the corner of his daughter's mouth with a handkerchief from time to time. Who would have thought that such a man would become a slave to his daughter? Rick, since you like kids so much, why don't you have another one with Cece? Huamian asked jokingly. Cece was a little shy after hearing this. She smiled at Rick. You tell me. Rick's face was still as cold as ever. This was comparable to Qin Chu's. He put away his white handkerchief gracefully and reached out to caress his daughter's hair. After a few seconds he said gently, Cece's health hasn't been good ever since she gave birth to Jean. I don't want her to risk her life anymore. Our children's matters are up to fate. We're already content with having Jean. Chapter 48:24. Huamian wanted to cover his face in shame. Okay, I didn't come all this way just to see you 2 being lovey-dovey. Jean, is the ice cream good? Yeah, it's good. Although Jean was already 14 years old, she was too protected by Rick, so she was very pure and innocent. She had become a girl who only knew fairy tales. South Hill Manor. Although the twins' coming-of-age ceremony was still a few days away, everyone arrived early. Even Ai Yang, who had been living abroad for a long time and hadn't returned to China for many years, came back with his wife this time. It was obvious how much importance everyone attached to the Qin family's joyous occasion. It was the first time in many years that everyone had gathered together. Huamin and Qin Shu took a long time to prepare. They also had the help of Bella, Jixin, Tang Chuan and Qin Ning. When they were eating, the long table was at least 16 meters long. On the lawn in front of South Hill Manor, an extremely beautiful greenhouse was temporarily built. Huamin personally looked over the design and hired a famous Italian designer. The flowers and plants inside were all personally selected by Huamin. The amount of work and money spent was immeasurable. After everyone sat down, Huamin realized that 16 meters was not very long. Then, the Qin family chef began to eat. Because he was afraid that the elders in the family would not be used to Western food, he did not prepare steak and foie gras. They were all famous 8 cuisines in the country. In front of each of them were 16 small plates, each of which contained a different delicacy. In the past few years, not many people had a second child. Wei Liao and Gao Ran originally planned to have a second child, but because they were too busy with work and did not have the energy, they gave up in the end. Tang Chuan and Qin Ning only had one child. It was a boy named Tang Tianjiao. He was 12 years old and was extremely naughty. He was the most mischievous one among the children. His personality was very similar to Tang Chuan's. Because of this, he had been beaten by his mother many times. Qin Chu's second uncle had already returned to China to enjoy his family's happiness. The headquarters in America was managed by a manager hired by Qin Chu. He would fly there once a month to handle official business. Shen Mingxi and Wei Ying also had a daughter named Shen Danny. She was born less than 3 years ago and was only 2 years old. She was the youngest child in the family. Jixin and Bella only had one child. Her name was Jing Honey, which was given to her by Huamin. She said that she had suffered a lot in her life and hoped that her niece would have a sweet and happy life in the future. Jingmi Tang was already 8 years old. Like a big child, she was very sensible, but she was a little timid. She always followed her mother like a shadow. Today's atmosphere is really good. Brother-in-law, bring out all the good wine in your house. Don't be stingy. Tang Chuan was in high spirits and took the lead to kick up a fuss. In the next second, Qin Ning grabbed his ear tightly. What did you promise me yesterday? You have high blood sugar. Do you know that? Qin Ning glared at him fiercely. Honey, don't. There are so many people here. Give me some face. Give you face? Are you that kind of person? If I give you some face, I'm afraid you'll lose your sense of direction. We're in a good mood today. Let him drink. Wei Liao interceded for Tang Chuan, which was rare for him. Wei Liao, you don't know how much this guy can drink. He was drunk at a party of our Tang family and lost his composure. Hey honey, please don't say it. Seeing that Qin Ning was about to tell him something embarrassing, Tang Chuan immediately stopped her. Qin Ning was famous for her ability to control Tang Chuan. He used to be the most unrestrained bastard. After marrying Qin Ning, he became a henpecked husband. While Qin Ning wasn't paying attention, Tang Chuan took out his cell phone and quickly sent a WeChat message under the table. This message was sent to Qin Guogua, who wasn't far away. He casually opened his cell phone and saw the message. My dear nephew, please help your uncle. Chapter 48-25. If there was anyone Qin Ning would listen to, it used to be the twins, but now it was Qin Guogua. It wasn't because Qin Ning didn't like the twins and didn't want to give them face. It was because Tang Chuan, that bastard, had begged the twins too many times. The more he begged them, the less they trusted him. So he set his eyes on Qin Guogua, who had just returned to the country and didn't know anything. Of course, Qin Guogua didn't disappoint. He stood up and said, Auntie, let uncle drink a little, just a little. With such a casual sentence, Qin Ning actually let him go. I'll let you go today for my nephew's sake. Don't drink too much, got it? Got it, wife. Tang Chuan smiled cheekily, but in the next second he couldn't smile anymore. The Qin family's maid ran over in a panic and shouted, Oh no, young Master Tang fell into the pool. Then, everyone panicked when they heard this. A few adults who knew how to swim rushed to the front. Huamin, who had experience in first aid, followed closely behind her husband. When Qin Ning ran over, her legs were weak. She was afraid that something would happen to her son. Everyone knew that there was a pool near the garden of Qin Chu's house. The deepest part of the pool was more than 2 meters deep. It was enough to drown an adult. There were some fish in the pool. In the summer, it was used as a viewing pool. In the winter, it was used as a mini skating rink for the twins. Everyone was busy eating. They just saw Tang Tianjiao wandering around the dining table. They didn't keep an eye on him for a while, and something happened. Qin Chu, Rick, Wei Liao, and Tang Chuan all rushed over. They thought that the child had drowned, but when they reached the pool, they found that there were no splashes in the pool. "Where is he?" Qin Chu asked with a gloomy face. The maid was so scared that her face turned pale. "He fell in." "Did he sink?" When she said this, everyone was even more worried. Qin Chu and Tang Chuan were about to jump in. But at this moment, the water splashed and splashed. Something came out of the water. Tang Tianjiao was hugging a big koi fish as he grinned and said, Dad, you happen to be on the shore. Quick, take a picture of me and post it on WeChat Moments. This is awesome." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that the kid was safe and sound, and had even floated up. It was really a false alarm. Tang Chuan also realized that his son knew how to swim. Although he was not very good at it, it was definitely not a problem for him to doggy paddle. "Don't take the photos for now. Come up first. Dad will give you a good kiss." Tang Chuan controlled his temper and waved at Tang Tianjiao. A few men at the side couldn't help but want to laugh. They had a tacit understanding. After all, he knew that this was a sign that Tang Chuan was going to beat his son. There's no need. We're all family, so there's no need to be so polite. That brat was still smiling mischievously. "Young Master Tang, come up, let's talk." Tang Chuan continued to coax. "Master Tang, I don't think we have anything to talk about. You should go back and drink. It's rare for Mother to be so kind today." "Little brat, do you believe that I won't break your legs?" Tang Chuan was furious and couldn't take it anymore. If it weren't for Wei Liao stopping him, he probably would have jumped down and dragged that brat out. Not only was Tang Tianjiao mischievous, but he was also very smart. "Men, go get that little brat up and lock him in the warehouse," Qin Ning said. She was originally scared out of her wits, but when she saw that her son was fine and that it was just a prank, she was furious. "Uncle, save me." Tang Tianjiao looked at Qin Chu. "You do deserve to be beaten." Qin Chu's face was also gloomy. "Auntie, you're the best to me." Seeing that Qin Chu didn't agree, the brat looked at Huomin, who was beside Qin Ning. His ability to find reinforcements had been perfected. Chapter 48-26. Hearing young Master Tang's words, Huomin didn't have the heart to do it. "Don't hit him. It's such a joyous occasion. Don't be so serious." "But Tianjiao, you did something wrong and need to be punished. You can sit next to Brother Yuyao." "Is this a punishment?" "Sis-in-law." Qin Ning saw how protective her sister-in-law was of her son. "Tianjiao is naughty, but he's a boy and didn't do anything bad. You two shouldn't hit him so often. It's not good to educate him with violence." Huomin wasn't being sarcastic. Indeed, she didn't advocate violent education anymore, except when the twins played pranks, and Huomin hit them several times. When it came to Qin Guogua, she couldn't bear to hit him anymore. It wasn't because she spoiled the kids, but Huomin thought kids nowadays were very smart and learned to speak early. She should talk to the kids if she had something to say. There was no need to beat them up. Some of the children didn't even know what they did wrong, and were beaten up for no reason. Psychological research also proved that children who grew up in a violent environment for a long time would have a violent and manic personality when they grew up. So, Huomin didn't want kids with that kind of personality in the family. However, Tang Tianjiao was indeed a little too mischievous. Among the children of this generation, there was no one like him. He was almost invincible. Qin Guogua, who was about his age, didn't play with him at all. He thought he was too childish. Jixin's daughter, Honey, was timid and didn't like to play with him. Wei Yunchu and Gao Buyuan were like Pudding and Little Bean. They were about to have their coming-of-age ceremonies and couldn't play with him. Wei Ying's youngest daughter, Shen Danny, had just started babbling and wasn't the best choice. Jean, who was brought back by Rick, was about the same age as him, but Jean almost never left his father's side, so Tang Tianjiao didn't want to mess with him. So, Tang Tianjiao didn't like to come to these gatherings. After all, he didn't have any playmates his age. With Huamin interceding, Tang Chuan and Qin Ning finally let their son go. After getting out of the water, he immediately changed into the new clothes that Huamin had found for him. After putting them on, he obediently went to sit beside Qin Guogua. "Cousin, I was almost beaten up just now." He took the initiative to find a topic to get closer to Qin Guogua. "You deserve it." Qin Guogua only replied with one word, which almost angered him to death. Tang Tianjiao was so angry that he turned his head and ignored Qin Guogua. He looked at little Bean beside him. "Second sister, that was really thrilling. If someone took a picture of me carrying the koi out of the water and posted it on WeChat, I promise I'll go viral on Mars." He continued to brag. Little Bean lowered her head and smiled. "I'm afraid that your parents will beat you up before you even reach Mars." "That's impossible. My dad is a bit fierce, but my mom is soft-hearted. She won't hit me too hard." Tang Tianjiao defended himself. "Hey, big sis, I recently saw a new phone with unlocked retina. It's so cool. It's only 28,000 yuan, but my mom won't buy it for me. Can you?" As soon as he saw Pudding, a greedy thought popped up in his mind. His sister was the richest woman in this group of rich second-generation heirs. Of course, he wanted to take advantage of her. "No way, don't even think about it." Before he could finish, Pudding rejected him. "Sigh, you guys are so boring. Forget it, you guys are no match for me anyway. I'll just entertain myself." Tang Tianjiao felt extremely lonely. He didn't have anything in common with these guys. His uncle's 2 sisters and 1 brother were all arrogant and cold, which didn't suit his temperament. "Little brat, don't worry. When my auntie comes tonight, you can meet her baby. I promise you'll enjoy it." Little Bean smiled evilly. "Your auntie? Her baby? Is it a boy or a girl? How old is it?" Tang Tianjiao's eyes lit up when he heard that he had a new friend. Chapter 48:27. It's a secret. Little Bean started to act mysterious, which piqued young Master Tang's curiosity even more. Everyone had a good meal. Huamin met her old friends who she had known for many years. It was as if she had become decades younger and returned to the past. After experiencing the hardships of time, she had become calmer and more indifferent. Her relationship with Qin Chu was also the same. Qin Chu's attitude towards Huamin was still the same as when they first got married. He was so careful to protect, take care of, and love her. Sometimes, Huamin thought that she had all the best things in the world. But why did she feel like there was something she couldn't let go of? No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember. After dinner, everyone took a walk in the garden. They chatted in 2s and 3s, and the children played games. The sun was setting. Qin Chu accompanied Rick, Tang Chuan, and Wei Liao to drink red wine and talk about business. Jiang Xiaowei, Qin Ning, Zhu Lingling, Bella, and Jia were having afternoon tea in the luxurious room, gossiping and talking about fashion. Huamin was originally with them, planning to go to the wine cellar to get a bottle of red wine and come back. However, she met Master Wu on the way. He was holding a prayer bead and meditating quietly in a corner. Everyone was used to him being like this. After all, he was a master in this field. When Huamin came back with the red wine, she happened to take a shortcut and pass by him. "Master Wu." She smiled gently. "Mian." Master Wu opened his eyes and looked at Huamin like an elder looking at a child. "It's cold here at night. I have a yoga room. You can meditate there. It'll be more comfortable." "Then why would I still call myself an ascetic?" Master Wu smiled. Huamin also smiled. Then she suddenly thought of something and asked, "Master Wu, I have something to ask you." "Okay, go ahead." Huamin walked over with the red wine and sat on the edge of the flower bed beside Master Wu. Then she slowly recalled, "All these years I've been very happy. I have a husband who loves me, a daughter, a son, a group of family and friends who love me. I have money and a career. I can go wherever I want and do whatever I want. Isn't that great? This is something that many people dream of, Master Wu said. Huomin nodded. Yes, I'm very content. It's just that I keep feeling like there's something that I haven't remembered, that I've forgotten. I keep feeling like there's a corner of my heart that's sometimes empty and sometimes sad. It's like I've forgotten something important or someone important. Huomin tried her best to recall that feeling. In all these years, she had never had a nightmare, nor had she dreamed of anyone other than her family. That blurry figure refused to enter her dreams. She could only rely on her sharp sixth sense to feel that something was not right in her heart. After hearing Huomin's words, Master Wu's gaze became slightly complicated, but it was only for a moment before he brushed it off. After all, in front of someone as smart as Huomin, he couldn't make any mistakes. It wouldn't be good if she saw through him. Little Bean was right. Little Bean was right. Huomian couldn't know about this. After all, this was Suyu's last wish. Master Wu couldn't tell her the whole truth, nor would he ever tell her the truth about Suyu. Master Wu, you're a master of fortune-telling. Can you tell me if I've forgotten someone important in my life? Huomin said in a low voice. Chapter 48:28. Even Master Wu, who was as calm as a Buddha, was shocked when he heard these words. Everything about Suyu surged up in her mind. Even his handsome face appeared clearly in front of her. However, it was only for a moment before Master Wu came back to his senses. What's the big deal? Haven't I seen your destiny before? You were born with wealth and fortune. You were ordinary in your early years, bumpy in your middle years, and rich in your later years. That's all right. I'm not talking about my destiny. I just feel like something is missing in my life. I can't put my finger on it. Even the quick-witted Huomian couldn't express that magical feeling. After all, this was what she felt in her heart. Outsiders didn't have that kind of resonance. After hearing Huomin's words, Master Wu smiled slightly. Mian, let me say something. You might think that I'm a little direct, but actually, your phenomenon is just your imagination running wild. However, I can understand that people are like this. People have 7 emotions and 6 desires, which is why they're not called immortals. There's a saying that's very true. What you get is often not cherished, and what you can't get is always on your mind. Your life right now is too perfect, so you always want to find something to regret. This isn't a good thing. I suggest you calm your heart down and slowly walk down the path of time. You're right, Master Wu. I was too pretentious. I shouldn't have let my imagination run wild. Huomin blamed herself and felt that she was thinking too much. After hearing Master Wu's words, she came to a realization. Perhaps she was thinking too much. Let me tell you a way. If you continue to let your imagination run wild in the future, calm down and copy the Buddhist scriptures to calm your heart, Master Wu suggested. Huomin nodded. Okay, I'll do as you say. Then continue meditating. I won't disturb you anymore. The guest room for the night has been arranged, so you can stay there in peace. It's rare for you to come back. I don't know when I'll see you again. Okay. Master Wu smiled and closed his eyes to continue meditating. At night, they sat around the top of the mountain. Huomin arranged a bonfire, and everyone had a good time around it. The elders didn't come because of their physical inconvenience. But without the elders, everyone was able to let go. The children ran around freely, as if they were in a grassland. Even the shy Honey and Jean blended in with them. Qin Guogua had a toothpick in his mouth. He was obviously bored. She wanted to go back, but she didn't want to disturb everyone. So she got up and sat beside Pudding. Sis, what? Pudding tilted her head. I saw Wei Yinshu on the streets of Berlin last month, he said. Pudding's expression changed rapidly, but she suppressed it. Obviously, she didn't want anyone to see any changes in her emotions. Oh, isn't that normal? His classes are so relaxed, so of course he's wandering around. Thinking about how Wei Yunshu had to bring Tian, that bitch, wherever he went, Pudding felt inexplicably stifled. Qin Guogua seemed to know what his sister was upset about, so he added, he came with his tutor. I think he came to finish a project. Oh. Pudding pretended to be indifferent. He came to school to see me. I treated him to a beer, and we chatted for a while. Oh. Pudding's reaction was still indifferent. He said he missed you a lot. Chin Guogua's words finally made Pudding lose her composure. Chapter 48:29. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm telling the truth. Chin Guogua saw how scary his sister's eyes were and felt uneasy. Pudding was about to say something when her phone rang. She focused and picked it up. Hello. President Chin, come over quickly. Mukin and I are at Galaxy Bar, and we got into a fight. Mukin is injured, and we don't dare to call the police or the ambulance. We don't want to alert the media. What should we do now? It was Liao Mukin's agent. Hearing this, Pudding got up and left without a word. Hey sis, where are you going? Little Bean noticed Pudding getting up like the wind and asked quickly. I have something urgent to deal with at the company. You guys stay with everyone. I'll be back soon. Pudding drove there alone in a white Lamborghini. She sped all the way to Galaxy Bar. Inside the private room on the top floor, Pudding pushed the door open and saw that only Liao Mukin and his agent were left inside. The room was full of glass shards. Liao Mukin covered his head with a white handkerchief. He was probably injured. There were also red bloodstains on his arm. President Chin, you're finally here. What happened? Pudding was shocked. After all, this was the first time she saw Liao Mukin injured. In the past, although this kid was arrogant and domineering, he was the one who bullied others. How did he get beaten up like this today? I'm fine. I just got into a fight. Liao Mukin lowered his head and covered the wound on his head. Fight? Are you a kid? How old are you? Pudding was furious. It was rare for celebrities under her company to fight, especially a top celebrity like Liao Mukin. After all, his every move was watched by the whole nation. If the media caught him, his image and persona would be ruined. Then this celebrity's future would be ruined. It would be completely ruined. Therefore, Pudding felt that an 18-year-old girl like her wouldn't do such a thing. Liao Mukin was already 23 years old and was an adult. How could he be so immature? Liao Mukin stuck out his tongue in front of Pudding's question, but didn't answer. President Chin, let's go to the hospital first. I think Mukin's injury is quite serious. The agent was scared out of his wits and didn't explain the situation to Pudding in detail. He only thought about the injury. I'll drive him to get his wounds bandaged. You take care of the bar. Keep this a secret. Don't let anyone else know about this. Okay, CEO Chin. After the agent received the order, he began to deal with the aftermath. Pudding grabbed Liao Mukin's clothes and dragged him into the Lamborghini. Ouch, be gentle, be gentle. I'm an injured person. Faced with Pudding's rudeness, the boy cried out in protest. Why didn't you think about the pain when you were fighting? You deserved it. It was Liao Mukin's first time sitting in the boss's car. He had to admit that the car was very cool. It was not a matter of how much it cost. After the car was brought back, it had undergone excellent modifications and had become the best of the best. Boss, is this car for sale? I want to buy it. Shut up. Pudding glared at him and drove to South Side without another word. Since her mother was the director of South Side, Pudding had the green light all the way to South Side. He took Liao Mukin directly to the VIP ward and found a reliable doctor to help treat the wound and examine it. By the time they were done, it was already 12:30 p.m. President Chin, this gentleman's injury isn't very serious. He just needs to pay attention to the wound and change the dressing. He doesn't need to be hospitalized. Okay, thank you, Dr. Liang. After sending the doctor away, Pudding walked to the bed. You're a superstar. You drank and got into a fight. Are you out of your mind? Chapter 48:30. You can't blame me. After all, I'm young and reckless. Shut up. Pudding was also very angry at his cynical attitude. Liao Mukin licked his lips and looked at the 18-year-old girl with a strong aura. She was one of the most talked about presidents in China. First of all, she was only 18 years old and managed GK Entertainment on her own. Second of all, her venture capital company made a lot of money every day, and the media used to describe Pudding as such. Her family wouldn't be able to spend all of their money in their next life. Therefore, whoever married Pudding in the future would be marrying a gold mine. The most eye-catching thing wasn't her wealth, but her looks, which inherited her father's perfect genes. Pudding and Little Bean looked exactly the same, but because Little Bean was chubbier, she didn't have the same strong aura and charm. Little Bean, on the other hand, had the sweet temperament of a girl next door. So Pudding became a cold and arrogant existence. "Boss, I heard your nickname is Pudding?" Liao Mukin suddenly asked. Pudding's eyes turned colder. However, this guy didn't seem to have enough fun and didn't plan to stop. Instead, he continued to ask, "Then from now on, I'll call you boss in the company. In private, can I call you Pudding?" Pudding grabbed the pillow on the hospital bed and threw it at him. "Wow, you're so violent. As the boss, shouldn't you love your employees the most? Especially an employee like me, who makes money for the company. You're so narcissistic. Don't think that just because you're popular and have a lot of fans, you have a 5-year contract with our company. Believe it or not, I can immediately freeze you and cut off your acting career. A businessman wouldn't do that. That would make you lose a lot of money." Liao Mukin chuckled. "Money? Do you think my family is short of money?" Pudding raised her eyebrows. Liao Mukin smiled and said, "Of course I know your family runs a mine and has money. So, boss, I heard that you don't have a boyfriend. How about I marry into your family? I promise to be an obedient boyfriend, filial to my in-laws, and love my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Come on." Seeing his playful look, Pudding was too lazy to continue talking nonsense with him. She looked down at her watch and saw that it was getting late. "You can stay at the hospital tonight. I'll have someone pick you up tomorrow. There's a new movie premiere tomorrow afternoon. Remember to go." "You're leaving?" Liao Mukin, seeing her leave, he was reluctant to leave. "Do you have something else?" Pudding looked at him. "I'm so lonely in the hospital. Why don't, boss, you stay with me for a while and wait for me to fall asleep before you leave?" He smiled brightly. "I gave you face. Why don't you go to heaven?" Little Bean rolled her eyes. "Haha, I knew you'd say that. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Drive safe. You drove too fast. My organs were all displaced on the way here. You're a girl. Why did you drive so fast? You're not even a drag racer. Shut up and stop nagging." Yes, Liao Mukin was the most talkative boy she had ever met. He was simply a replica of Tang Sanzang. Boss, I have one last question." Seeing Pudding pick up her bag and turn around, Liao Mukin straightened up. "Speak." Pudding was getting impatient. Chapter 48:31. "Can I attend your coming-of-age ceremony?" he asked, enunciating each word. Pudding was about to refuse. After all, her coming-of-age ceremony was a small one, and the guests were all high-class VIPs. She didn't plan to invite outsiders, nor did she invite the company's employees. "Don't misunderstand, huh? I just want to meet my senior, Yang. I heard that he's back in the country, and the media is hyping it up. He was so popular back then and sang so well. He must have a lot of tricks up his sleeves. I want to talk to him and fulfill my wish. After all these years, I've only liked one idol. Unfortunately, he's been abroad for many years and hasn't come back." Pudding had long heard that Liao Mukin liked Yang. When Yang became popular, the twins weren't even born yet. Later, after Yang retired, his last album was a hit for 5 years. Liao Mukin's singing wasn't very good, but he liked Yang's style. This didn't seem like an excuse at all. After some thought, Pudding replied, "I'll think about it." Yes, she didn't give a clear answer. Even if Liao Mukin wanted to go to the coming-of-age ceremony, she only said that she would think about it. Pudding did have more than a dozen invitations in her hands. As a popular superstar, it wasn't a problem for Liao Mukin to come. But, if her mother saw him, would she? Pudding's heart was still in a mess as she walked out of the hospital. She sat in the Lamborghini and didn't start it immediately. Instead, she sat there in a daze for a while. There was a secret about Liao Mukin that only Pudding, Little Bean, and Master Wu knew. It was a secret that even Liao Mukin didn't know. It was Liao Mukin. He looked very much like Su Yu. Master Wu had erased all traces of Su Yu's existence in this world. So even the Su family didn't remember that they had such a son. Only Pudding and Little Bean's memories weren't erased because of the jade gourd Lu Yan gave them. So many years later, when Pudding saw a newcomer in the entertainment industry named Liao Mukin, she was dumbfounded. His looks were very similar to Su Yu's, but his personality and aura were completely different. Everyone thought that Pudding signed with Liao Mukin because he was a money tree and could make money. Only Little Bean knew that her sister did this because she looked like handsome Su. Huamin didn't care about the entertainment industry and never read the news, so he only knew that one of Pudding's children was very popular. But he had never seen it before. Pudding once wondered if her mother would remember something if she saw Liao Mukin's face one day. Pudding was very contradictory. She was afraid that her mother would remember, but she was also afraid that her mother would forget. She knew it was best for her parents to forget handsome Su. However, if they forgot about handsome Su, it meant that they would forget about everything he had done for their mother, father, and Little Bean. Little Bean had warned her sister many times not to let her mother see Liao Mukin, to avoid a series of unpleasant things. However, the moment Liao Mukin expressed his desire to come, Pudding hesitated. 15 minutes later, Pudding's car left South Side. Liao Mukin stood in front of the window on the 5th floor and watched the car drive away. He muttered to himself, "What a strange little girl. She always seems to have a lot on her mind." When Pudding returned to South Hill Manor, it was already 11 o'clock. The guests were resting, and the guests were going home. The two elders of the Su family and the Qin family had also gone to bed early. Pudding thought that everyone was asleep, but to her surprise, she saw an extremely warm scene when she entered. Chapter 4832. Huamin was wearing a white cotton nightgown and was lying on Qin Chu's lap with a face mask. Qin Chu was drinking tea and watching the news on the finance channel. Little Bean was playing a popular game with Qin Guogua on her phone. Pudding knew they were waiting for her. "Hey, my sister is back." Little Bean put down her phone. Huamin got up from Qin Chu's lap. "You're back so late. How's work?" "It's done," Pudding said. "Come sit down. It's rare for our family to be together. There were too many people during the day, so I didn't have time to talk to you guys." Huamin smiled gently. She waved at Pudding. Pudding couldn't resist her mother's smile. She took off her high heels and walked to the sofa with her bag. She found an empty seat and sat down. "Wow, our family of 5 is reunited. No, we must take a picture." Little Bean picked up her phone, opened the camera, and looked at the lighting. When she thought it was about time, she found the best angle with the camera and took a series of photos. This time, they didn't pose for the photo and didn't gather together. It was very casual. However, the effect was surprisingly good. After all, they were a family of good-looking people. Other than Huamin, who wasn't as good-looking, the others were all celebrities. After the photo shoot, Little Bean excitedly posted it on her WeChat friend circle. She had a lot of fun. Pudding, on the other hand, was a little tired after running around all day. She leaned on the sofa and didn't want to talk or move. "Sis, eat an orange. It's very sweet." Qin Guogua handed the orange that he had peeled for a long time to Pudding. "You've become a lot more mature after 2 years abroad." Pudding looked at her brother with a doting expression. "Nonsense, I've always been a good boy, okay?" Qin Guogua wasn't convinced. "Honey, do you have any questions? Since everyone's here, can you start?" Huamin turned to Qin Chu and acted like a spoiled child. Qin Chu asked Little Bean directly, "Can you lose some weight? Look at you and your sister. You don't look like twins anymore. You should lose some weight and eat less snacks." "Dad, you think I'm fat?" Little Bean asked in disbelief. Huamin laughed and fell on Qin Guogua's shoulder. "Haha, look at you. Even your taciturn dad can't stand it anymore. We're talking about you, but you won't listen." Huamin laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks. "Mom, you should tell Dad about Little Bean's diet at Southside," Pudding added. "Qin Zhaozhao, how dare you betray me? I'll kill you." Little Bean pointed at Pudding and yelled at her sister. Little Bean goes to the hospital cafeteria every afternoon. Before Huamin could finish, Huamin interrupted him. Little Bean dashed over and covered her mother's mouth. Dinhua, please don't say it. Please let me off. Sis, aren't you afraid that big brother Buyuan will dump you? Qin Guogua added. Why are you guys attacking me? Shouldn't you say that Pudding is busy and doesn't have time for us? Or that Qin Guogua goes to school in Germany and spends 10,000 euros a month on his pocket money? Feeling wronged, Little Bean tried to shift the blame onto her sister and brother. However, I'm spending my New Year's money. It's none of your business, Qin Guogua said matter-of-factly. I don't spend much time with you guys because I'm helping Dad with his work. I'm sacrificing myself for Dad. Pudding explained. So you guys are all noble, but I'm the unlucky one? Little Bean rolled her eyes in anger. Dad, it's unfair for you to treat me like this. Do you know that? Finally, Little Bean pointed at the first person who attacked her tonight. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.